some discoveries raise questions that we still struggle to answer. The map of Piri Reis drawn in 1513 seems to show the coast of Antarctica without ice. That was centuries before the continent was officially discovered. Is it a coincidence or proof of knowledge that we have lost? Fossils have been found in layers of earth where they do not belong, and tools embedded in rocks millions of years old. A small wooden object buried in an ancient Egyptian tomb turned out to fly like a glider in modern wind tunnel tests. Was it just a toy, or was something more advanced? Then there are the Moai statues on Easter Island, somehow transported across kilometers without modern machinery. The Great Pyramids are aligned with astonishing precision with celestial bodies. HCH is built in harmony with the movements of the sun and moon. These are not isolated anomalies. They question the way we understand our past. They suggest that our ancestors knew things that we have forgotten. Forgotten? And if history not only advances but repeats itself, the story of Atlantis has captivated the imagination for centuries, but there is no concrete evidence that it existed as described in ancient texts. The legend of Atlantis comes from the writings of the Greek philosopher Plato, who described it as a powerful and advanced island nation that sank into the sea after falling disgrace with the gods. Many scholars believe that Plato used the story of Atlantis as an allegory to illustrate his ideas about the ideal society and the dangers of arrogance. However, this has not prevented people from searching for a real equivalent of the mythical island. Numerous theories have been proposed, suggesting various locations for Atlantis, from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic Ocean. Although there is no archaeological evidence for the existence of Atlantis as described by Plato, some researchers speculate about the possibility that the legend was inspired by real events or places. For example, it has been suggested that the destruction of the Minoan civilization of Crete by a massive volcanic eruption on the nearby island of Thera around 1650 BC could be the source of the myth of Atlantis. Despite the lack of evidence for the existence of Atlantis, the myth continues to inspire scientific exploration and cultural fascination. It is a reminder of the enduring human desire to discover lost knowledge and hidden histories that drives us to explore and understand our world in greater depth. The legendary lost city of Atlantis has captivated the imagination for centuries, giving rise to countless theories about its possible location. If Atlantis did exist, one intriguing possibility is that it was located in the Mediterranean. Some researchers have proposed that the island of Santorini, also known as Thera, could be a potential candidate. This Greek island suffered a major volcanic eruption around 1,600 years before the Common Era, which could coincide with some descriptions of the destruction of Atlantis. Another hypothesis places Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean, possibly near the Strait of Gibraltar. This location would fit with the account of the Greek philosopher Plato, who described Atlantis as lying beyond the Pillars of Hercules, a term often associated with the Strait of Gibraltar. Some scholars have even suggested that Atlantis and Teta could have been located on the coast of North Africa, in what is now Morocco, or the Western Sahara. A less conventional theory proposes that Atlantis may have existed in the Caribbean or off the coast of Cuba. Underwater formations discovered near Cuba have fueled speculation about the possibility of sunken structures in this region. However, these theories remain highly controversial within the scientific community. It is important to note that despite centuries of searching and speculation, no concrete evidence of Atlantis has ever been found. Many historians and archaeologists consider Atlantis to be a fictional creation that may have served as an allegory in Plato's works rather than a description of a real place. The enduring fascination with Atlantis continues to inspire exploration and debate about ancient civilizations and lost knowledge. The mythical Atlanteans have captivated the imagination of many with tales of their supposed advanced technology, far superior to that of ancient civilizations. According to various legends and speculative theories, the Atlanteans harnessed incredible sources of energy, perhaps even manipulating crystalline energies or other exotic forms of energy generation. Some accounts suggest that they possessed flying machines or vehicles capable of soaring through the sky and across the sea with ease. These ships were supposedly capable of covering great distances with speed, implying a mastery of aerodynamics and propulsion far superior to that of their time. Other accounts speak of advanced weapons, such as energy beams or devices capable of manipulating the weather and tectonic forces. Communication technology also features prominently in the tradition. Some believe that they had developed methods of telepathy or long-distance communication that did not rely on conventional means. This could have included crystal-based information storage and transmission systems that allowed for a sophisticated network across their domains. Medical knowledge and life extension techniques are also often attributed to the Atlanteans. Theories range from advanced surgical procedures to the use of energy fields for healing and longevity. Although these stories about Atlantean technology are fascinating, it is important to remember that Atlantis remains a legend with no concrete historical or archaeological evidence to support its existence or the reality of these advanced technologies. The disappearance of an entire civilization without leaving substantial evidence is a fascinating and complex phenomenon. Several factors can contribute to it, often combined over long periods of time. Natural disasters can play an important role in the destruction of the remains of civilization. Massive volcanic eruptions, for example, can bury entire cities under layers of ash and lava, as happened with the ancient Roman city of Pompeii. Earthquakes and tsunamis can destroy coastal settlements, while prolonged droughts or sudden climate changes can force people to abandon their homes. Or sudden climate change can force populations to abandon their homes, leaving them at the mercy of nature. Human activity can also erase civilizations. Conquering cultures can deliberately destroy or build over the remains of previous societies, erasing them from the landscape. In addition, the reuse of building materials from abandoned sites can gradually eliminate all visible traces of previous structures. The passage of time is a powerful eraser. Over centuries or millennia, structures can crumble, artifacts can deteriorate, and written records can be lost or destroyed. Dense jungles can invade once prosperous cities, while shifting sands and deserts can bury entire settlements. Without continued human presence or intervention, nature will inevitably reclaim and obscure the works of any civilization, leaving little or no trace for future generations to discover. The legend of Atlantis. Sinking into the ocean has captivated the imagination for centuries. Although there is no historical evidence of the existence of the Atlantis described by Plato, several natural disasters could theoretically cause the disappearance of an island civilization beneath the waves. A massive earthquake followed by a tsunami could be the leading candidate for such a catastrophe. Powerful seismic activity in a subduction zone, where one tectonic plate slides beneath another under another, can trigger huge waves capable of flooding coastal areas and low-lying islands. The sudden sinking of the land caused by the earthquake could exacerbate the flooding, potentially submerging an entire island. Another possibility is a volcanic eruption and the subsequent collapse of the caldera. When a large magma chamber beneath a volcano empties during an eruption, the ground above can collapse into the void, forming a huge depression. If this were to happen on an island, it could sink a significant part of the continental landmass. The eruption of Santorini in ancient Greece, which may have contributed to the fall of the Minoan civilization, is often linked to the myth of Atlantis. Climate change and sea level rise, even if occurring on a much longer time scale, could also cause the gradual submergence of a low-lying island. Although this process would be too slow to match the sudden sinking described in the legend of Atlantis, it demonstrates how entire land masses can disappear beneath the ocean if the right geological and environmental conditions are present. The search for Atlantis has captivated explorers and researchers for centuries, but no conclusive evidence of its existence has been found. Although numerous underwater structures have been discovered around the world, none have been definitively linked to the legendary lost city described by Plato. Several intriguing underwater sites off the coast of Cuba have sparked speculation about Atlantis. Researchers have identified unusual formations that some believe could be the remains of an ancient city. Similarly, in the waters near Japan, the Yonaguni Monument has attracted attention for its stepped features, although many scientists maintain that it is a natural geological formation. In the Mediterranean, the submerged ruins of ancient cities, such as Pablo Petri in Greece and Heraklion in Egypt, provide fascinating glimpses of past civilizations. However, these places have known histories and are not considered candidates for Atlantis. The Bimini Road in the Bahamas, once believed to be part of Atlantis, is now generally accepted as a natural rock formation. Although these underwater discoveries offer valuable insights into human history and geological processes, the existence of Atlantis remains unproven. Scientists continue to explore our oceans and discover new archaeological and geological wonders. But the mythical city described by Plato has yet to materialize in the depths of our seas. The story of Atlantis has captivated the imagination for millennia and spread across cultures through a combination of ancient writings, oral traditions, and modern interpretations. The story has its origins in the works of the Greek philosopher Plato, who described Atlantis as a powerful and advanced island nation that sank into the sea after falling out of favor with the gods. Plato's account, recorded in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, sparked the interest of other Greek and Roman writers. As these texts were preserved and translated, the legend of Atlantis began to spread beyond the Mediterranean world. During the Renaissance, renewed interest in classical literature brought the story to a wider European audience, inspiring writers, artists, and explorers. In the modern era, the myth of Atlantis has become even more popular through literature, film, and television. This general exhibition has led to the incorporation of similar stories to Atlantis in various cultures, often mixed with local legends of sunken cities or lost civilizations. For example, some Native American tribes tell stories of ancient and advanced societies that disappeared beneath the waves, which some interpret as a parallel to the myth of Atlantis. The enduring appeal of Atlantis lies in its themes of a lost golden age, advanced technology, and the consequences of human arrogance. These universal concepts resonate across all cultures, allowing the story to be adapted and spread around the world without losing its fundamental elements. Despite centuries of fascination with the idea of Atlantis, there is no concrete scientific evidence to support its existence. The story of Atlantis comes from the Greek philosopher Plato, who described it as a powerful and advanced island nation that sank into the sea after falling out of favor with the gods. Many scholars interpret Plato's account as an allegory or a story with a moral rather than a historical record. Numerous expeditions and archaeological investigations have attempted to locate Atlantis, but none have produced credible findings. Some researchers have proposed various real-world locations as possible sites for Atlantis, including the Mediterranean island of Santorini, which suffered a catastrophic volcanic eruption around 1600 BCE. However, these theories remain speculative and lack substantial evidence. Although the search for Atlantis has led to interesting archaeological discoveries and advances in underwater exploration techniques, the scientific consensus is that Atlantis is probably a myth. The enduring appeal of Atlantis may lie more in its symbolism of a lost golden age and in the human desire to discover hidden histories than in any historical reality. The idea of Atlantis as a colony extraterrestrial is an intriguing concept that has captivated the imagination of many but lacks scientific evidence. Atlantis, first mentioned by the Greek philosopher Plato, was described as an advanced civilization that sank into the ocean. Although some interpret it as a possible extraterrestrial settlement, most scholars consider Atlantis to be a fictional creation used by Plato to illustrate his philosophical ideas. The search for extraterrestrial life focuses on more plausible scenarios, such as microbial life on Mars or possible organisms in the subsurface oceans of icy moons, such as Europa or Enceladus. These environments offer conditions that could harbor simple life forms, according to our current knowledge of biology and planetary science. If an advanced alien civilization had established a colony on Earth in ancient times, we would expect to find clear archaeological and geological evidence. Such evidence could include advanced materials, technologies far superior to those of ancient human civilizations, or markers. However, no such evidence has been discovered to support this hypothesis. Although the concept of Atlantis as an extraterrestrial colony is captivating, it remains firmly in the realm of speculation and science fiction. The scientific community continues to explore the history of our planet and search for signs of extraterrestrial life through rigorous research and evidence-based methods, focusing on the most likely scenarios and locations within the solar system and beyond. The search for Atlantis has captivated people for centuries because of its enduring mystery and the tantalizing possibility of discovering a lost advanced civilization. This fascination has its origins in the vivid descriptions of the Greek philosopher Plato of a powerful island nation that supposedly existed more than 9,000 years before his time. Plato's account described Atlantis as a prosperous and technologically advanced society endowed with great architecture, sophisticated engineering, and a complex social structure. The idea that such an extraordinary civilization could have existed and then disappeared without a trace has sparked the imagination and triggered countless theories and expeditions. The appeal of Atlantis is fueled by humanity's inherent curiosity about our past and the desire to uncover hidden truths. The possibility that an ancient culture possessed knowledge or capabilities that go beyond our current understanding is a compelling notion. Compelling notion that continues to drive scientific and pseudoscientific searches. Furthermore, the story of Atlantis resonates with our collective fascination with lost worlds and the cyclical nature of civilizations. It serves as a warning about the possible downfall of even the most advanced societies and reminds us of our own vulnerability to natural disasters and the consequences of human arrogance. This combination of mystery, adventure, and philosophical reflection has ensured that the search for Atlantis remains a captivating quest that continues to intrigue people of all music generations. The Nazca lines, carved into the arid coastal plains of southern Peru, were created by the ancient Nazca culture between 500 BCE and 500 CE. These enormous geoglyphs, some over 900 feet wide, depict various animals, plants, and geometric shapes. The purpose of these enigmatic designs has long puzzled archaeologists and researchers. Although there is no definitive answer, several theories have been proposed. One prevailing idea suggests that the lines served a ritual or religious purpose, possibly as offerings to the gods or as part of ceremonial practices related to water and fertility. The Nazca region is extremely arid, and water was a highly prized resource for its ancient inhabitants. Another hypothesis proposes that the lines had astronomical significance, potentially acting as a vast calendar, or serving to track celestial events. Some researchers have even suggested that the lines may have been used for ceremonial processions in which people walked along the paths as part of religious rituals. Despite ongoing research and speculation, the true purpose of the Nazca lines remains a mystery. Their creation represents an extraordinary feat of engineering and artistic expression from ancient times that leaves us in awe at the ingenuity and cultural significance of these enormous desert drawings. Ancient civilizations demonstrated remarkable ingenuity in creating enormous designs visible from great heights despite lacking the ability to fly. One of the most famous examples is the Nazca lines in Peru, which cover hundreds of square kilometers and depict various animals and geometric shapes. These ancient engineers employed several ingenious techniques to achieve such large-scale designs. They probably started with models or smaller models or plans on the ground, which they then enlarged using a grid system. By carefully measuring and enlarging their designs, They were able to transfer intricate patterns to vast landscapes. Simple tools such as stakes and ropes allowed them to create straight lines and precise curves over long distances. The builders tied ropes to stakes at specific intervals, creating guidelines for the designs. They then removed stones or scraped away the top layer of dark soil to reveal the lighter soil beneath, thus drawing their large-scale designs. The dry, stable climate of regions, such as the Nazca Desert, helped preserve these creations for centuries. Although the purpose of many of these designs remains a mystery, their existence demonstrates the extraordinary skill and vision of the ancient peoples who managed to create works of art visible from the sky long before humans took to the skies. The Nazca lines in southern Peru continue to fascinating archaeologists and visitors with their enigmatic shapes and figures. These ancient geoglyphs carved into the desert floor represent a variety of intriguing designs. Among the most recognizable are animal figures such as a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, and a condor. These thoracic images are made with remarkable precision, capturing the essence of each creature in long lines visible from the air. In addition to animals, the Nazca lines also feature geometric shapes such as triangles, rectangles, and spirals. Some designs resemble plants or flowers, while others appear more abstract. One of the most puzzling figures is known as the astronaut, a humanoid shape with what appears to be a large helmet-shaped head. This particular image has fueled much speculation about the purpose and meaning of the lines. Researchers have proposed several theories about what these figures might represent. Some suggest that they could be related to astronomy and serve as a giant calendar or map of celestial objects. Others believe that they could have a religious or ritual significance, possibly used in ceremonies to ask the gods for water in the arid region. Another theory posits that they could have a religious or ritual meaning, possibly used in ceremonies to ask the gods for water in the arid region. Astronomy, and serve as a giant calendar or map of celestial objects. Others believe they may have religious or ritual significance, possibly used in ceremonies to ask the gods for water in the arid region. Another theory posits that the lines could mark sources of underground water crucial for survival in the desert environment. Despite numerous studies, the true meaning and purpose of the Nazca lines remain a mystery. The large scale and diversity of the figures continue to inspire awe and curiosity, inviting us to reflect on the remarkable achievements of ancient civilizations and the questions they left behind. The Nazca lines in Peru have long fascinated researchers and the public alike, giving rise to numerous theories about their purpose and origin. Although some have speculated about extraterrestrial connections, there is no scientific evidence to support the idea that these geoglyphs were landing sites for extraterrestrial spacecraft. Archaeologists and historians have thoroughly studied the Nazca lines and determined that they were created by the ancient Nazca culture between 500 BC and 500 AD. These enormous drawings on the ground represent various animals, plants, and geometric shapes, and were probably made for cultural and religious purposes. The lines were created by removing the top layer of reddish pebbles to expose the lighter-colored soil beneath. This technique is too fragile to withstand the intense heat and pressure of spacecraft landings. Furthermore, the intricate designs of the lines and their varied location on the desert plateau make them impractical as landing strips. Scientific research suggests that the Nazca lines were most likely used in religious ceremonies, possibly related to water and fertility rituals. It is possible that the lines were walked along as a form of prayer or pilgrimage. Some designs may also have served as astronomical calendars. These explanations fit with what we know about Nazca culture and technology, making them much more plausible than extraterrestrial theories. The Nazca lines have endured for centuries due to a combination of unique environmental factors and their method of creation. These ancient geoglyphs carved into the desert floor of southern Peru have withstood the passage of time due mainly to the extremely dry and stable climate of the region. The Nazca Desert receives very little rainfall, and in some areas it rains less than 1 centimeter per year. This lack of water means that erosion caused by rain is minimal, which prevents the lines from wearing away over time. In addition, the surface of the desert is formed by a layer of pebbles covered with iron oxide that covers a lighter-colored clay soil. When the top layer was removed to create the lines, the lighter-colored soil was exposed, creating a visible contrast. The relative isolation of the area and its low population density have also contributed to its preservation over many years. These geoglyphs went unnoticed by the rest of the world, protecting them from human interference. The flat, open terrain of the desert plateau where the lines are located receives very little wind, which further reduces natural erosion. It should be noted that although the Nazca lines are extraordinarily well preserved, they are not immune to damage. In recent years, increased tourism and nearby urban development have posed new threats to these ancient wonders, prompting efforts to protect and preserve this extraordinary archaeological site for future generations. The Nazca lines carved into the arid Peruvian desert have long fascinated archaeologists and astronomers alike. These ancient geoglyphs, created by the Nazca culture between 500 BC and 500 AD, display intriguing astronomical alignments that suggest a deep connection between the Earth and the sky. Several of the lines and figures align with celestial events, particularly with the rising and setting points of certain stars and constellations. For example, the famous spider figure appears to be oriented toward the Orion constellation, while other lines seem to point toward the positions of the sun's rising and setting during the solstices, which mark crucial seasonal changes. Of the seasons, which are crucial for agriculture, the figure of the monkey, one of the most recognizable images in Nazca, could represent the Big Dipper. Its outstretched hand points toward the North Celestial Pole, suggesting an understanding of this important navigational marker. In addition, some researchers propose that certain lines correspond to the heliacal rising of bright stars, such as Sirius and Canopus. These alignments indicate that the Nazca people possessed sophisticated astronomical knowledge and probably used the sky to measure time, navigate, and possibly for religious purposes. However, it is important to note that although many alignments have been identified, scholars continue to debate their intent and meaning. The Nazca lines remain a testament to the ingenuity of the ancients and our fascination with the cosmos. Carved into the desert plains of southern Peru, the Nazca lines have long captivated researchers and the public alike. These enormous geoglyphs, some of which are over 300 m long, represent various animals, plants, and geometric shapes. Although many have speculated about the existence of hidden messages in these ancient designs, scientific consensus does not support such claims. Archaeologists and anthropologists generally agree that the Nazca lines were created by the Nazca culture between 500 BCE and 500 CE. Their purpose was probably related to religious or cultural practices, possibly serving as paths for ceremonial processions or as offerings to deities associated with water and fertility. The idea of hidden messages often stems from misconceptions about the visibility of the lines. Contrary to popular belief, many of the designs are visible from the ground, not just from the air. This suggests that they were intended to be walked on and not viewed from above. The precision and scale of the lines demonstrate the Nazca people's knowledge of engineering and astronomy. Of the Nazca people, but they do not indicate the existence of coded information. Although the full meaning of the Nazca lines remains a subject of research, current evidence points to their role in Nazca ritual and cosmology rather than as carriers of secret messages. Their enduring mystery lies not in hidden codes, but in the remarkable achievements of an ancient civilization and in the questions they continue to raise about human ingenuity and cultural expression. The Nazca Piaplica del Antiguo. Peru created their extraordinary geoglyphs through a combination of careful planning, ingenious techniques, and a deep understanding of their landscape. These enormous drawings on the ground, some of which are several kilometers long, were made mainly between the 100th and 700th centuries AD. The Nazca achieved their precise geometric shapes by first creating small-scale models, then using a grid system to enlarge these designs on the desert floor. This method allowed them to maintain proportions and accuracy even when working on such a huge scale. The dry, stable climate of the Nazca region, with its flat desert terrain, provided an ideal canvas for their work. To create the lines, the Nazca people removed the top layer of reddish pebbles, exposing the lighter-colored soil beneath. This technique created a contrast that made the designs visible from higher altitudes. They used simple tools such as stakes and ropes to ensure straight lines and consistent curves. The absence of wind and rain in the area helped preserve these delicate designs for centuries. The purpose of these geoglyphs remains a subject of debate among researchers. Some theories suggest that they were created for astronomical or calendrical purposes, while others propose that they were part of water worship rituals or were intended to be seen by deities from above. Regardless of their original intention, the precision and scale of the Nazca lines continue to amaze and baffle scientists and visitors alike, serving as a testament to the remarkable capabilities of ancient civilizations. The Nazca lines etched into the arid Peruvian desert have long fascinated archaeologists and historians. Although we cannot know for certain what rituals or ceremonies were associated with these enigmatic geoglyphs, evidence suggests that they had a profound spiritual meaning for the Nazca people. Scholars believe that the lines may have been used in water and fertility rituals. The Nazca region is extremely dry, and access to water was crucial for survival. Some of the lines appear to point to water sources, leading researchers to theorize that the Nazca may have walked these lines in ceremonial processions, asking their gods for rain and abundant harvests. Another theory proposes that the lines were part of astronomical rituals. Some geoglyphs align with celestial bodies at certain times of the year. The Nazca may have used these alignments to mark important dates in their agricultural and religious calendars, possibly celebrating ceremonies at these specific times to honor their deities or mark seasonal changes. There are also indications that the lines played a role in pilgrimage rituals. It is possible that different groups were responsible for maintaining and traveling certain lines, and that the act of tracing these enormous figures served as a form of worship or meditation. These ritual journeys may have been considered a way of connecting with the gods, ancestors, or cosmic forces that the Nazca believed governed their world. The Nazca lines etched into the desert plains of southern Peru have long captivated both researchers and the public's imagination. These enormous geoglyphs, some more than 300 meters in length, represent various animals, plants, and geometric shapes. Although their true purpose remains a subject of debate, the idea that they were a form of communication with the sky or with extraterrestrial beings is not supported by scientific evidence. Archaeologists and anthropologists generally agree that the Nazca lines were created by the Nazca culture between 500 BCE and 500 CE. The most widely accepted theories suggest that these lines had a religious or cultural meaning, possibly related to water and fertility rituals. The arid desert environment in which they are found experiences water shortages, which made it a crucial concern for the ancient Nazcas. Some researchers propose that the lines could have been used for astronomical observations or as a form of calendar. This idea is more in line with scientific knowledge than the notion of extraterrestrial communication. It is likely that the Nazcas, like many other ancient cultures, had a sophisticated knowledge of celestial movements and their relationship with changes, seasonal changes vital to agriculture. It is important to note that the creation of the Nazca lines did not require advanced technology or extraterrestrial intervention. The ancient inhabitants of Nazca used simple tools and techniques to remove the top layer of darker rocks and expose the lighter-colored earth beneath. The lines have been preserved for centuries thanks to the extremely dry and stable climate of the region. Although the Nazca lines remain a fascinating archaeological wonder, their purpose was most likely due to the earthly concerns and beliefs of the ancient Nazca culture rather than attempts to communicate with other worlds. Music, the pyramids of Giza stand as enduring monuments to the ingenuity and power of ancient Egypt. These colossal structures were built during the Old Kingdom period of ancient Egypt, specifically during the Fourth Dynasty. Archaeological evidence and radiocarbon dating suggest that the Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest and most famous of the pyramids, was built approximately between 2600 and 2540 BCE. The other two main pyramids of Giza, belonging to the pharaohs Khafre and Menkaure, were built in the following decades. This means that when we contemplate these magnificent structures today, we are looking at buildings that have stood for almost 4,000 years and a half, withstanding the passage of time and witnessing countless historical events. It should be noted that the pyramids of Giza are not the oldest in Egypt. That distinction belongs to the step pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara, built about 100 years earlier. However, the pyramids of Giza represent the pinnacle of pyramid construction in ancient Egypt and showcase the incredible architectural and organizational skills of the Old Kingdom period. The exact age of these structures remains a subject of research and debate among Egyptologists and archaeologists. As new technologies and dating methods emerge, our understanding of their exact age may be refined. Nevertheless, their age and the wonder of their construction continue to captivate our imagination as a testament to the extraordinary achievements of ancient civilizations. Although the ancient Egyptians did not possess what we today consider advanced technology, they employed sophisticated engineering techniques and tools to build the pyramids. They used copper chisels, bronze saws, wooden rollers and sledges, ramps, levers, and plumb lines for precise alignment. The ancient builders demonstrated remarkable knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and geology. They developed ingenious methods to cut, transport, and stack enormous blocks of limestone with astonishing precision. Contrary to popular misconceptions, there is no evidence of extraterrestrial or futuristic technology. One of the most impressive tools was the inclined plane, which allowed workers to move heavy stones uphill. They probably used a combination of ramps, levers, and pulleys to place the enormous blocks in position. The ancient Egyptians also created specialized tools, such as the square, to achieve precise right angles in construction. The level of organization required to build the pyramids was in itself a form of advanced technology for its time. The ability to coordinate thousands of workers, manage resources, and maintain constant construction for decades demonstrates the existence of a sophisticated social and administrative system that was key to the creation of the pyramids. The apparent alignment of the pyramids of Giza with the stars of Orion's belt is a fascinating topic that has captivated the imagination of many. However, it is important to note that this alignment is not as perfect as some claim, and that the connection is largely a coincidence. The ancient Egyptians were skilled astronomers and used celestial observations in their architecture and religious practices. They aligned many of their structures, including pyramids and temples, with the cardinal points and specific stars for religious and practical purposes. In fact, the pyramids of Giza are aligned with great precision with the cardinal points of the compass. Although there's a general similarity between the layout of the three main pyramids of Giza and the three bright stars of Orion's belt, the Belt of Orion, the coincidence is not exact. Defenders of the correlation theory. Correlation with Orion tend to overlook the slight discrepancies in the angle and relative position between the pyramids and the stars. Egyptologists and archaeologists generally agree that the pyramids were built primarily as tombs for the pharaohs, and that their alignment and construction were guided by religious beliefs and practical considerations rather than a desire to imitate specific star patterns. The perceived connection with Orion's belt is due to the human tendency to recognize patterns rather than intentional design on the part of the ancient builders. The ancient Egyptians were master builders who developed ingenious methods for transporting enormous stone blocks for their monumental structures. One of their main techniques was the use of sledges. These wooden sledges were placed under the stone blocks, and teams of workers pulled them across the desert sand to reduce friction and make them easier to drag. The Egyptians used an ingenious trick. They wet the sand in front of the sled, creating a firmer surface that allowed the sled to slide more smoothly. This method significantly reduced the force needed to move the heavy stones, allowing smaller teams to transport larger loads. For water transport, the Egyptians used the Nile River and a system of canals. They built large wooden boats capable of transporting stone blocks weighing several tons. These boats floated downstream, taking advantage of the river's current for transport. Upstream, they probably used a combination of wind power and manual rowing on land. The Egyptians also created ramps to lift stones up the sides of the pyramids during their construction. These ramps, made of mud bricks and rubble, allowed workers to drag or roll the stones into place. As the pyramid grew in height, the ramps were extended or rebuilt to reach higher levels. This combination of innovative techniques allowed the ancient Egyptians to build their imposing monuments without the help of modern machinery. The pyramids of ancient Egypt were much more than large burial chambers for the pharaohs. These monumental structures served as powerful symbols of the pharaoh's divine right to rule and their connection to the gods. They were designed to facilitate the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife, acting as a gateway between the mortal world and the realm of the gods. The pyramids also functioned as large storage facilities for the pharaoh's earthly possessions, which were believed to be necessary in the afterlife. These ranged from everyday objects to priceless treasures, so that the pharaoh would want for nothing in the next world. Interestingly, the pyramids played a role in the economic and social structure of ancient Egypt. Their construction employed thousands of skilled workers, fostering a sense of unity and national pride. This enormous undertaking required extensive planning, engineering, and resource management, which contributed to advances in mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. In addition, the pyramids served as centers of religious activity and places of pilgrimage long after the pharaohs were buried. Priests performed rituals and offerings in the pyramid complexes, maintaining the cult of the deceased pharaoh and ensuring his immortality in the afterlife. This ongoing activity kept alive the memory of the pharaohs and reinforced the power of the pharaohs and the state. Pharaohs and reinforced the religious and political order of ancient Egyptian society for centuries. The Great Pyramid of Giza continues to intrigue archaeologists and researchers with the possibility that there are chambers yet to be discovered within its enormous structure. Recent studies using advanced imaging techniques have revealed tantalizing signs of hidden spaces. In 2015, a thermal scanner detected unexplained hotspots inside the pyramid, suggesting a presence of previously unknown cavities. In 2017, more convincing evidence emerged when scientists used cosmic ray muon radiography to detect a large cavity previously unknown above the Grand Gallery. This void, nicknamed the Great Void, is at least 30 meters long and could represent an important chamber or corridor. Its contents remain a mystery, fueling speculation about possible new discoveries. These findings have reignited interest in continuing to explore the Great Pyramid, but the process is slow and careful to avoid damaging the ancient structure. Researchers are developing new non-invasive methods to peer inside the pyramid and potentially reveal more hidden spaces. The possibility of discovering new chambers, artifacts, or information about the pyramid's construction continues to excite both Egyptologists and the public alike, although we cannot say with certainty what lies hidden in the Great Pyramid. Ongoing research suggests that this ancient marvel may still hold secrets waiting to be revealed. The prospect of future discoveries keeps the Great Pyramid at the forefront of archaeological research and promises to shed new light on one of humanity's most enduring mysteries. The ancient Egyptians demonstrated remarkable precision in their constructions and astronomical alignments, especially in their monumental structures, such as the Great Pyramid of Giza. Their achievements were the result of a combination of advanced mathematical knowledge, surveying techniques, and a deep understanding of celestial movements. One of the keys to their success was their mastery of geometry. Egyptian builders used a tool called a plumb line, a weight suspended from a string, to establish perfect vertical lines. They also used a device known as a meridian, an instrument similar to an astrolabe that allowed them to align structures with incredible precision with celestial bodies. The Egyptians also developed a standardized system of measurement based on the human body, such as the elbow, which was the length of a forearm from the elbow to the tip of the fingers. This system ensured the consistency of construction projects. They also used ditches filled with water to level foundations over long distances, demonstrating their knowledge of fluid dynamics. Their astronomical knowledge played a crucial role in achieving precise alignments. By observing the movements of the stars and the sun over long periods, they could orient structures toward specific celestial events such as solstices or the rising of certain stars. This astronomical precision is evident in structures such as the Great Pyramid, which is aligned with true north with an accuracy of less than 1/10 of a degree. The pyramidal shape has long fascinated scientists and researchers for its unique geometric properties and its potential effects on energy fields. Studies have shown that pyramids can concentrate electromagnetic energy within their structure, creating a focal point near the apex. This concentration effect is believed to be the result of the pyramid's specific angles and proportions, which can act as a natural resonator for certain energy frequencies. Experiments conducted with small-scale pyramid models have demonstrated intriguing effects on organic matter placed inside them. Interior. Some researchers have observed better food preservation and increased plant growth. These observations have given rise to theories about the pyramid shape's ability to influence subtle energy fields or bioelectromagnetic processes. However, the power of pyramids remains controversial and lacks solid scientific evidence. Although the pyramid shape has unique properties in terms of energy distribution, the scope of its applications practical remains the subject of research and debate. Some scientists argue that the observed effects may be due to other factors, such as air circulation patterns or environmental conditions, rather than inherent properties of the pyramid shape itself. Despite the lack of conclusive evidence, the pyramid shape continues to inspire scientific research and technological innovation. Engineers have explored pyramid-inspired designs for solar panels and energy-efficient buildings seeking to harness the potential of the shape to concentrate and distribute energy in beneficial ways. As research progresses, we may gain a better understanding of how geometric shapes, such as pyramids, interact with various forms of energy and their potential applications in fields ranging from agriculture to renewable energy technologies. The idea that the pyramids of ancient Egypt were used as power plants is a popular but unfounded theory. Archaeological evidence and historical records clearly demonstrate that these enormous structures were built as tombs for pharaohs and their consorts. Pyramids were designed to protect the pharaoh's body and possessions in the afterlife, not to generate energy. The interior layout of pyramids, with their narrow passageways, burial chambers, and intricate systems of blocks and barriers, is perfectly suited to their function as secure tombs. These features would be impractical and unnecessary for an energy-generating facility. Furthermore, no artifacts or inscriptions have been found that suggest any form of energy production within these structures. The materials used in the construction of pyramids, mainly limestone blocks, are not conducive to energy generation. These stones lack the properties necessary to create or store electrical energy. The absence of mechanical components or evidence of fuel use further contradicts the power plant theory. Although the ancient Egyptians possessed remarkable engineering knowledge, their technology focused on construction, agriculture, and religious practices. The idea of pyramids as power plants stems from a misinterpretation of their sophisticated design and a desire to attribute advanced technology to ancient civilizations. In reality, pyramids are a testament to the ingenuity and cultural beliefs of the ancient Egyptians, not misunderstood sources of energy. The ancient Egyptians mummified and sealed the bodies of pharaohs inside the pyramids as part of their complex beliefs about the afterlife. They believed that preserving the physical body was crucial for the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife. The mummification process, which involved removing the internal organs and drying the body, was designed to prevent decay and maintain the pharaoh's form for eternity. The pyramids served as large tombs, protecting a mummified remains and a large amount of buried treasures with the pharaoh. These treasures were believed to be necessary for the afterlife, as they provided the deceased ruler with everything he would need in the other world. The shape of the pyramid was symbolic, representing the rays of the sun and serving as a stairway for the pharaoh's spirit to ascend to the heavens. The elaborate funeral practices also reflected the divine status of the pharaoh in Egyptian society as both ruler and god. The preservation of the pharaoh was considered essential to maintain the continuity of the dynasty and the stability of the empire. Ruler and god. The preservation of the pharaoh was considered essential to maintaining the cosmic order. The pyramid, with its sealed chambers and hidden passageways, acted as a fortress against tomb robbers and ensured the pharaoh's rest. These practices evolved over time, but the basic belief in the importance of preserving the body and providing for the afterlife remained central to Egyptian funeral customs for thousands of years. Pyramids and mummies continue to fascinate us today as they offer us a glimpse into the complex conception of life, death, and the cosmos held by the ancient Egyptians. The construction of Stonehenge remains one of the most intriguing mysteries of ancient death and the cosmos held by the ancient Egyptians. The construction of Stonehenge remains one of the most intriguing mysteries of ancient engineering. The enormous stones used in this prehistoric monument, some of which weigh up to 26 tons, were transported over considerable distances and erected with remarkable precision. The smaller stones, weighing up to 4 tons each, came from quarries in the Preseli Hills in Wales, about 150 kilometers from Stonehenge. They were probably transported by land and sea. Researchers believe that they were moved on wooden rollers or sledges over land, then floated on rafts down rivers, and finally dragged overland to the site. The largest sarsen stones, some over 6 m high, came from the Malber Downs, about 30 kilometers north of Stonehenge. These enormous blocks were probably moved using sledges and ropes with teams of people and oxen pulling them across the landscape to erect these huge stones. The builders probably dug deep pits and used a system of ropes, levers, and teamwork to slowly tilt the stones upward. The precise placement of the stones suggests a sophisticated knowledge of levers and counterweights. It is likely that the lintels were raised using earthen or wooden ramps and that the stones were gradually lifted and stacked until they reached the desired height. This monumental feat of engineering carried out over several centuries is a testament to the ingenuity and determination of our Neolithic ancestors. The true purpose of Stonehenge remains one of the most enduring mysteries of archaeology. This ancient monument located in Wiltshire, England, has puzzled researchers for centuries. Although we cannot definitively state its exact function, recent studies have shed light on some intriguing possibilities. Archaeological evidence suggests that Stonehenge served multiple functions throughout its long history. One prevailing theory is that it functioned as a celestial observatory. The alignment of the stones corresponds to important solar and lunar events, such as solstices and equinoxes. This suggests that Stonehenge may have been used to track the passage of time and the seasons, crucial information for agricultural societies. Another compelling hypothesis is that Stonehenge was a sacred place of worship and ritual. Excavations have unearthed human remains, indicating that Stonehenge was used for burial purposes and rituals. Excavations have uncovered human remains, indicating that it may have been a burial site for members of the Neolithic elite. The presence of these remains, along with evidence of feasting and ceremonial activities, points to Stonehenge's role as a center for important social and religious gatherings. Recent research has also proposed that Stonehenge served as a symbol of unity for Neolithic Britain. The transport and arrangement of enormous stones from distant locations suggest a collaborative effort between several communities. It is possible that this gigantic undertaking helped forge alliances and strengthen social ties throughout the region. serving as a powerful testament to collective human achievement and cooperation. Stonehenge, England's ancient monument, has fascinated astronomers and archaeologists for centuries due to its remarkable alignment with celestial bodies. The structure's layout shows a clear connection to important astronomical events, in particular the movements of the sun. The most famous alignment occurs during the summer solstice, when the sun rises directly over the heel stone, a large standing stone located outside the main circle. This alignment creates a spectacular visual effect, as the first rays of midsummer dawn shine through the center of the monument. Conversely, during the winter solstice, the sun sets between the two largest trilithons, the iconic stone arches at the heart of Stonehenge. These alignments suggest that Stonehenge functioned as a primitive calendar that allowed ancient peoples to track the changing seasons. This knowledge would have been crucial for agricultural societies, helping them determine the best times to plant and harvest crops. Some researchers also propose that Stonehenge could have been used to predict eclipses thanks to its alignment with lunar cycles. Recent studies have revealed even more celestial connections. The position of certain stones appears to correspond to the extreme points of the moon's rise and set that occur every 186 years. This complex understanding of celestial mechanics implies that the builders of Stonehenge possessed a sophisticated knowledge of astronomy far beyond what was believed possible for Neolithic cultures. The true identity of the builders of Stonehenge remains the subject of research and debate among archaeologists and historians. Evidence suggests that the monument was built in several stages over a period of about 100 years, and that different groups contributed to its development. The first phase of Stonehenge, dating back to around 3100 BC, is attributed to the Neolithic settlers of Great Britain. These early farmers were probably responsible for creating the circular ditch and bank surrounding the site. They also erected the first wooden structures within the enclosure. The most recognizable features of Stonehenge, the huge standing stones. These were added in later phases. It is believed that these additions were made by the inhabitants of the Beaker culture, who arrived in Great Britain around 2500 BC. This group, known for its characteristic bell-shaped pottery, possessed advanced knowledge of stone working and transportation techniques. Recent genetic studies have shed new light on the origins of these ancient builders. DNA analysis of human remains found near Stonehenge suggests that many of the people who participated in its construction were descendants of migrants from the eastern Mediterranean. This evidence points to a complex picture of cultural exchanges and population movements in prehistoric Britain and calls into question previous hypotheses about the isolation of ancient British societies. Stonehenge, the ancient and mysterious stone circle in southern England, has long captivated our imagination. Although we cannot know with absolute certainty what rituals were performed there thousands of years ago, archaeological evidence and modern research have provided intriguing clues about the ceremonial activities that probably took place at this sacred site. One of the most significant rituals associated with Stonehenge was the celebration of the winter solstice. The careful alignment of the monument with the setting sun on the shortest day of the year suggests that the ancients gathered here to celebrate this important astronomical event. It is possible that these ceremonies included feasts, as evidenced by the remains of pigs and cattle found in nearby settlements, indicating the existence of large-scale communal meals. Stonehenge also appears to have been a place of healing and pilgrimage. Archaeologists have discovered the remains of people who traveled long distances to reach the site, some with serious injuries or illnesses. This suggests that people traveled to Stonehenge in search of physical or spiritual healing, perhaps participating in rituals led by religious leaders or expert practitioners. In addition, Stonehenge probably served as a final resting place for important people. Cremated human remains have been found buried inside and around the stone circle, indicating that funeral rites and ancestor worship were important aspects of the ceremonial use of the site. These practices may have included processions, offerings, and rituals to honor the dead and maintain their connections with the spirit world. Stonehenge has long fascinated researchers as a possible astronomical calendar, and modern studies have revealed important celestial alignments within its structure. The layout of the monument shows a clear connection with important solar events, particularly the summer solstices and winter solstice. During the summer solstice, the sun rises behind the heel stone and its first rays shine on the center of the monument. On the winter solstice, the sun sets between the largest sarsen stones. These alignments suggest that the builders of Stonehenge had a sophisticated knowledge of celestial movements and incorporated it into the design of the monument. However, it is important to note that Stonehenge was not a precise astronomical instrument by modern standards. Its main function was probably ceremonial and social, with astronomical aspects playing a secondary role. Recent archaeological evidence suggests that Stonehenge may have been used to track a solar year of 365 and a quarter days. This suggests a level of astronomical knowledge more advanced than previously thought for Neolithic peoples. The blue stones brought from Wales may also have had a special significance related to solar observations, although Stonehenge demonstrates a clear astronomical intention. To consider it an accurate calendar may be an exaggeration. It served as a monumental marker of important celestial events rather than as a device for everyday timekeeping. Its enduring legacy is a testament to the astronomical knowledge and engineering skills of our ancestors, as well as their desire to connect with the cosmos. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed a complex network of structures hidden beneath the surface of Stonehenge using advanced ground-penetrating radar and other techniques. Researchers have uncovered evidence of numerous buried features around the famous stone circle. One of the most significant finds is the presence of a large semicircular structure known as Doington Walls. This enormous earthwork, measuring almost 3 kilometers in circumference, contains the remains of up to 90 large standing stones that were deliberately toppled and buried thousands of years closer to the main stone circle. Archaeologists have identified several smaller henches, burial mounds, and pits. These structures are part of a vast ceremonial landscape that extends far beyond the visible stones. Of particular interest are the remains of ancient houses, suggesting that Stonehenge was not only a place of rituals but also an inhabited place. The underground landscape also includes a network of paths and processional routes connecting various monuments and natural features. These hidden structures paint a picture of Stonehenge as the centerpiece of a much larger and more complex prehistoric world than had been imagined, shedding new light on the lives and beliefs of our ancient ancestors. The blue stones of Stonehenge are of immense archaeological and cultural significance. These unmistakable stones, weighing up to 4 tons each, were transported over 140 miles from the Preseli Hills in Wales to the Salisbury Plain in England. This monumental feat of ancient engineering has fascinated researchers and historians for a very long time. It is believed that the blue stones were the first stones erected at Stonehenge, predating the large sarsen stones. Their unique composition, a type of igneous rock called dolerite, distinguished them from the local Wiltshire stones. This suggests that these specific stones had special significance for the Neolithic people who built Stonehenge. Recent studies have revealed that some of the blue stones may have been used in earlier stone circles in Wales before being moved to Stonehenge. This discovery points to a complex history of stone transportation and monument construction that may reflect migration or cultural exchange between different Neolithic communities. The presence of these non-local stones at Stonehenge has given rise to various theories about their purpose. Some researchers suggest that they were valued for their supposed healing properties, while others propose that they symbolize the ancestors or territories of the people who transported them. Regardless of the specific reason, the effort invested in moving these stones such a great distance underscores their immense importance to the builders of Stonehenge. Stonehenge, England's most iconic prehistoric monument, has undergone significant changes since its initial construction more than 5,000 years ago. The site began as a simple circular ditch and a bench at the end of the Neolithic period. Over the next 15 years, it was gradually transformed through several major construction phases. The most spectacular changes took place around 2500 BC when the famous Sarsen stones were erected. These enormous blocks, weighing up to 40 tons each, were carefully shaped and fitted together to form the characteristic outer circle and inner iron during this period. Smaller blue stones were also added, transported from Wales, which created additional circles and arches within the monument. However, time and human activity have taken their toll on Stonehenge. Many of the transported from Wales were added, creating additional circles and arches within the monument. However, time and human activity have taken their toll on Stonehenge. Many of the original stones have fallen or been removed over the centuries. During the Roman era and the Middle Ages, the site suffered extensive damage. Some stones were knocked down, and others were taken away to be used as building material. In the 20th century, several restoration projects attempted to replace the fallen stones and stabilize the remaining structure. Today, Stonehenge looks very different from the original. The surrounding landscape has changed dramatically, with nearby roads and modern infrastructure altering the ancient setting. Despite these changes, Stonehenge remains a breathtaking testament to the ingenuity and determination of our Neolithic ancestors and continues to captivate visitors and researchers alike with its enduring mystery and grandeur. Stonehenge, England's iconic prehistoric monument of England, has long fascinated researchers and the public alike. Although its exact purpose remains a mystery, some archaeologists have proposed that it may have served as an ancient healing center. This theory is based on several intriguing pieces of evidence. Excavations at Stonehenge have unearthed numerous human remains, many of which show signs of disease or injury. Curiously, a significant portion of these remains belong to individuals who were not from the area, suggesting that people may have traveled long distances to reach the site. This pattern is consistent with the idea of Stonehenge as a place of pilgrimage for those seeking healing. The blue stones, a type of rock used in the construction of Stonehenge, have also fueled speculation about their possible healing properties. Ancient people believed that these stones, transported from Wales, had magical or healing powers. Some researchers suggest that the healing properties of these stones may have been one of the main reasons for transporting them such a long distance. However, it is important to note that although the healing center theory is intriguing, it remains speculative. Stonehenge probably served multiple purposes throughout its long history, including possibly astronomical observations, religious ceremonies, and social gatherings. The true nature of this ancient wonder remains a subject of research and debate among archaeologists and historians. The transportation of the colossal Moai statues on Easter Island has long puzzled researchers and captivated the imagination of people around the world. These enormous stone figures, some of which weigh up to 80 tons, were somehow moved from the quarries to their resting places throughout the island. Recent studies have shed light on this ancient feat of engineering. Archaeological evidence and experimental recreation suggest that the Rapanui, the indigenous inhabitants of the island, used a combination of ingenuity and teamwork to move these enormous statues. The most widely accepted theory proposes that the Moai were rolled to their destination using a rocking motion. In this method, teams of people used ropes to tilt the statue forward and sideways, making it walk by turning it from side to side. This technique would have required careful coordination and considerable manual labor. But it is consistent with Rapanui oral traditions that speak of the statues walking to their destinations. Furthermore, this method explains the presence of broken moai along the ancient roads, as some may have fallen during transport. Other theories suggest the use of rollers or wooden sleds, but the walking method remains the most plausible explanation given the available evidence. The achievement of moving these enormous stone figures across difficult terrain is a testament to the skill, determination, and collaborative spirit of the ancient Rapa Nui people. The Moai statues of Easter Island have long captivated researchers and visitors. These enormous stone figures, carved by the Rapa Nui people between 800 and 1800, served multiple functions in their society. Primarily, the Moai were created to honor ancestors and important chiefs. Each statue represented an individual and was believed to embody the mana or spiritual power of that person. The Rapa Nui believed that by erecting these statues, they could harness and distribute this power throughout their communities, ensuring prosperity and protection. The Moai also played a crucial role in the religious and political systems of Easter Island. They were often placed on ceremonial platforms called ahu, facing inland to watch over their descendants. This placement reinforced the hierarchical structure of Rapa Nui society and served as a constant reminder of their ancestral legacy. Recent studies suggest that the Moai may also have had practical purposes. Some researchers propose that the statues may have been used as markers for freshwater sources, a vital resource on the isolated island. The location of many Moai coincides with areas where freshwater seeps to the surface, indicating a possible connection between the statues and this essential resource. The Moai, the iconic stone statues of Easter Island, were carved by the Rapa Nui people between approximately 800 and 1600. Years ago, these ancient Polynesian settlers of Easter Island, also known as Rapa Nui, created these enormous sculptures as part of their complex religious and social traditions. The Rapa Nui believed that their ancestors, represented by the Moai, possessed a supernatural power called mana. By erecting these statues, they sought to harness this spiritual energy to protect their communities and ensure prosperity. Each Moai was believed to embody the spirit of a specific ancestor, usually a high-ranking chief or other important figure in Rapa Nui society. The creation of the Moai was a monumental undertaking that required immense skill, labor, and resources. Sculptors worked in the quarries of the Reno Raraku volcano, carefully carving each statue from the volcanic toa found there. Once completed, the enormous statues, some of which weighed up to 82 tons, were transported across the island to their final resting place on ceremonial platforms called ahu. The Moai served as a physical and spiritual link between the living Rapa Nui and their revered ancestors. They were placed facing inland, watching over the villages and their inhabitants, symbolizing the enduring presence and protection of those who came before. This practice reflects the deep veneration that the Rapa Nui felt for their ancestors and the central role that this veneration played in their culture and daily life. The fall of the Rapa Nui civilization on Easter Island of Easter Island, creators of the iconic Moai statues, was a complex process driven by multiple. Environmental degradation played a crucial role. The islanders extensively deforested their territory to transport and erect the enormous stone statues, as well as to clear land for agriculture. This deforestation caused soil erosion, reduced crop yields, and eliminated vital resources, such as wood for building boats and fuel. Climate change also contributed to the ecological decline of the island. A period of prolonged drought affected the already fragile ecosystem, further reducing food production. The scarcity of resources probably led to social unrest and conflict between the island's clans. As competition for increasingly scarce supplies intensified, population growth exacerbated these problems. As the number of inhabitants increased, the demand for the island's limited resources became unsustainable. The inability to leave the island due to a lack of materials for building boats meant that the Rapa Nui had no escape from their increasingly desperate situation. European contact in the 17th century dealt the final blow to the weakened civilization. The introduction of disease, slave raids, and further exploitation of resources accelerated the decline of the Rapa Nui people. This combination of self-inflicted environmental damage, climate change, overpopulation, and external factors ultimately led to the collapse of this remarkable statue-building society. Possibility. That there are undiscovered Moai statues on Easter Island continues to intrigue archaeologists and researchers. Although hundreds of these iconic stone figures have been documented and studied, the rugged terrain and dense vegetation of the island suggest that there could be more hidden from view. Recent technological advances have opened up new avenues of exploration. Satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar have revealed structures and features of the island unknown until now. These discoveries point to the possibility that there are more Moai statues waiting to be found. A particularly interesting area of research focuses on the volcanic craters and hard-to-reach coastal areas of the island. These difficult-to-access and uncharted locations could hide other statues or even entire archaeological sites. Some experts believe that erosion and landslides over the centuries could have buried or partially submerged the Moai in these regions. However, it is important to note that any new discoveries will likely be limited in number. The island has been extensively studied, and most of the important sites are well documented. Although the prospect of finding more Moai is exciting, the true value lies in what these potential discoveries could tell us about the ancient Rapa Nui culture and its remarkable stone carving traditions. The Moai, the iconic stone statues of Easter Island, have long. Archaeologists and historians. These enormous figures, some over 9 meters tall, are more than just faces carved in stone. They represent a complex system of beliefs and cultural practices of the Rapa Nui people who created them. It is believed that the Moai carvings represent the ancestors and important chiefs of the Rapa Nui. Each statue was believed to embody the spirit of a specific ancestor, serving as a bridge between the living and the dead. The elongated ears seen on many Moai symbolize wisdom and high status, as ear elongation was a practice among the elite of Rapa Nui society. Some Moai feature intricate designs carved on their backs, including symbols resembling canoes, birds, and ceremonial objects. These petroglyphs likely represent important aspects of Rapa Nui culture and mythology. The red stone cylinders placed on some well-known Moai are believed to represent pigtails or perhaps ceremonial headdresses worn by chiefs. Recent studies have suggested that the Moai may also have served practical purposes. Beyond their spiritual significance, some researchers propose that the statues may have served to mark sources of fresh water or fertile agricultural land, highlighting the potential role of the Moai in the survival and prosperity of the Rapa Nui people on their remote home island. The ancient inhabitants of Easter Island, known as the Rapa Nui people, Rapa Nui, developed sophisticated stoneworking techniques. Stonework to carve the iconic Moai statues. These enormous figures, some over 9 meters tall and weighing up to 80 tons, were carved with tools made from volcanic rock found on the main island. The main tool used by the Rapa Nui carvers was the toki, a hand axe made from basalt, a hard volcanic rock. They shaped these tools by carefully chipping away the soft outer layer of the basalt to create sharp edges ideal for chipping away the softer volcanic tuff from which carved most of the Moai. Archaeologists have discovered thousands of these toki in various quarries on Easter Island, demonstrating the scale of the operations. In addition to the toki, the ancient sculptors used stone hammers and picks to give the statues their initial shape, and finer tools such as stone chisels for detailed work. They also used abrasive stones of varying thickness tasmuth and refined the surfaces of the Moai. This combination of tools allowed the carvers to work with remarkable precision, creating the distinctive features and intricate designs that characterize these monumental sculptures. The ingenuity of the Rapa Nui people went beyond the creation of tools. They developed efficient extraction techniques, carving the Moai directly from the bedrock and using strategic cutting and levering methods to separate the statues from the quarry walls. This ingenuity and skill combined with their stone tools allowed the ancient inhabitants of Easter Island to create one of the most enigmatic and impressive monuments in human history. The placement of the Moai statues on Easter Island has a profound meaning, as it offers a glimpse into the ancient Rapa Nui civilization. These colossal stone figures, some up to 9 m high and weighing 80 tons, are not placed at random, but strategically placed in the island's landscape. Most of the Moai are facing inland, dominating the territory of their clan, suggesting that they acted as protective guardians or representations of revered ancestors watching over their descendants. This orientation implies a deep connection between the statues, the earth, and the people who created them. The watchful gaze of the Moai may have provided a sense of security and continuity to the islanders. Curiously, a group of Moai at Ahu Kibi faced the ocean, breaking this pattern. These 7 figures are said to represent the original explorers sent to discover the island, with their eyes fixed on the horizon. This unique arrangement underscores the importance of exploration and discovery in Rapa Nui culture. The location of the Moai near the coast, often on large stone platforms called aju, also suggests a link to resource management. Some researchers propose that the statues pointed to sources of fresh water, which was essential for survival on an island with limited rainfall. This theory highlights the practical wisdom encoded in the placement of the Moai, which combines spiritual meaning with knowledge essential for survival. The Moai, the iconic stone statues of Easter Island, have long captivated our imagination and sparked numerous theories about their origin. While not speculating on extraterrestrial influences, the scientific consensus strongly supports a purely human origin for these remarkable monuments. Archaeological evidence clearly demonstrates that the Moai were created by the Rapa Nui, the indigenous inhabitants of Easter Island. These skilled artisans use volcanic rock from local quarries and carve the statues with stone tools over many generations. The techniques and tools used in their creation have been well documented through extensive research and excavations on the island. The development of the Moai can be traced through the cultural and religious practices of the Rapa Nui people. These statues served as representations of deified ancestors and played a crucial role in their complex social and spiritual systems. The evolution of the Moai's design and the methods used to transport them around the island reflect the ingenuity and technological advances of the Rapa Nui civilization. Although the idea of extraterrestrial influence may seem exciting, it inadvertently diminishes the remarkable achievements of the Rapa Nui people and their ability to create these huge statues with limited resources and tools is a testament to human creativity, engineering skills, and cultural determination. The Moai are enduring symbols of human capacity and the power of collective effort in the face of difficult environmental conditions. The Moai, the iconic stone statues of Easter Island, have endured for centuries thanks to a combination of factors. Their durability is mainly due to the material used in their construction. The Moai were carved from volcanic tuff, a type of rock formed from compressed volcanic ash. This material is extraordinarily durable and resistant to erosion, allowing the statues to withstand the harsh coastal environment of Easter Island. The size and weight of the Moai also contribute to their longevity. Many of these monumental figures are over 6 m tall and weigh several tons. Their enormous volume helps them withstand the forces of wind and rain that have battered the island for hundreds of years. The climate of, although harsh in some respects, the climate of Easter Island has also contributed to the preservation of the Moai. The island has a subtropical climate with relatively stable temperatures throughout the year. This stability has helped to prevent extreme temperature fluctuations that can cause the stone to crack and deteriorate rapidly. Despite their resistance, the Moai have not been immune to the effects of time and human activity. Many statues have fallen or been damaged over the centuries. However, conservation efforts in recent decades have focused on protecting and restoring these ancient wonders, ensuring that they remain a testament to the ingenuity and artistry of the ancient Rapa Nui people for generations to come. The Antikythera mechanism is one of the most intriguing and sophisticated artifacts of the ancient world. Discovered in 1991 off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, this complex device has puzzled and amazed scientists for over a century. Recent studies have revealed that the True purpose of the Antikythera mechanism was to serve as an advanced astronomical calculator. This ancient analog computer was designed to predict celestial events and track the movements of celestial bodies with remarkable accuracy. It could calculate the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, as well as predict solar and lunar eclipses. The mechanism also functioned as a highly accurate calendar capable of tracking the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games and keeping track of a count of leap years. This level of sophistication in timekeeping and astronomical prediction was far ahead of its time and demonstrated the incredible scientific knowledge of the astronomers and engineers of ancient Greece. What makes the Antikythera mechanism truly extraordinary is its complexity. Consisting of at least 30 intricately designed bronze gears, the device represents a level of technological advancement that would not be seen again in over 1,000 years. Its discovery has forced historians to reevaluate their understanding of ancient Greek science and technology, highlighting the remarkable achievements of this ancient civilization. The ancient Greeks achieved a remarkable. Historians to reevaluate their understanding of ancient Greek science and technology, highlighting the remarkable achievements of this ancient civilization. The ancient Greeks achieved a remarkable feat of engineering and astronomical knowledge with the creation of the Antikythera mechanism. This complex device, often called the world's first analog computer, dates from around 150 to 100 BC. Its sophistication has amazed modern scientists and historians, revealing the depth of Greek knowledge of celestial mechanics. The creation of this intricate calculator was made possible by several factors. First, the Greeks had accumulated centuries of astronomical observations, allowing them to predict celestial events with impressive accuracy. They had identified complex cycles in the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, which formed the basis of the mechanism's calculations. Second, Greek mathematics and engineering had reached a high level of sophistication. They understood gear systems and could create precise metal components. The mechanism employed a series of bronze gears of various sizes arranged to mimic the movements of the celestial bodies. This mechanical approach to representing astronomical phenomena was a stroke of genius that translated abstract concepts into a physical and interactive model. In addition, the Greeks benefited from the intercultural exchange of ideas, in particular with Babylonian astronomers, who had developed advanced methods for predicting celestial events. This combination of observational data, mathematical knowledge, engineering skills, and shared knowledge allowed for the creation of a device far ahead of its time, demonstrating the remarkable intellectual achievements of ancient Greek civilization. Ancient civilizations were more technologically sophisticated than many people realize. The Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece, is a testament to this shipwreck. Off the coast of Greece was an intricate mechanical computer used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses. This device, dating from around 150 BC, demonstrates a level of engineering skill that was not seen again for over 1,000 years. In ancient Rome, engineers developed complex hydraulic systems and aqueducts that transported water over long distances. Some of these structures still stand today, a testament to their advanced design and construction. The Romans also created the first forms of underfloor heating, called hypocausts, which circulated hot air beneath buildings to keep them warm. The ancient Egyptians possessed remarkable knowledge of chemistry and material science, evident in their mummification processes and the production of advanced pigments and glass. They also developed sophisticated methods of surveying and engineering to build their enormous pyramids and temples with astonishing precision. China, inventors created the first complex seismographs, water clocks, and even a primitive form of gunpowder. The Baghdad battery, discovered in Iraq, suggests that some ancient civilizations may have had a rudimentary understanding of electricity. Although its exact purpose remains a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists, the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek astronomical calculator, was designed primarily to track the movements of the heavens and predict astronomical events. Although it was not used directly for navigation like modern instruments, it could have indirectly helped sailors on their voyages. This extraordinary device, often called the world's first analog computer, accurately modeled the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. It also predicted eclipses and tracked important calendar cycles. This information would have been invaluable to sailors planning long voyages, as the celestial navigation was a crucial skill in ancient times. Knowing the position of celestial bodies and upcoming astronomical events could help sailors determine their latitude and estimate the time of year. This knowledge was essential for planning voyages and avoiding dangerous weather phenomena. In addition, the mechanism's ability to predict eclipses could be useful for timing long-sea voyages. However, it is important to note that the anticythern mechanism was probably too delicate and complex for use on board ship. Its main purpose was probably educational or for use in astronomical observatories. Although it was not a direct navigational tool, the knowledge it provided could have significantly improved the accuracy of ancient navigation techniques, making it an indirect but valuable aid to sailors of the time. The anticythera mechanism, an ancient Greek analog computer, discovered in 1901, is a remarkable testament to the ingenuity of our ancestors. Despite being over 2,000 years old, this intricate device demonstrates an astonishing level of precision in its astronomical calculations. When compared to modern calculators, the anticythera mechanism is in no way inferior in certain aspects. For celestial predictions, such as the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, it could achieve an accuracy of 1 or 2 degrees. This level of precision is impressive considering the limited tools and knowledge available at the time of its creation. However, modern calculators far surpass the anticythera mechanism in terms of versatility, speed, and overall accuracy. Today's digital devices can perform a wide range of mathematical operations with an accuracy that extends to many decimal places, far beyond the capabilities of the ancient mechanism. Although the anticythera mechanism was innovative for its time, it was designed specifically to perform astronomical calculations. In contrast, modern calculators can perform complex calculations in various fields of mathematics and science, making them much more powerful and adaptable tools. The anticythera mechanism is an extraordinary testament to the astronomical knowledge and technological prowess of the ancient Greek civilization. This intricate device, often called the world's first analog computer, reveals that Greek astronomers possessed a deep understanding of celestial movements and cycles far beyond what was believed to have been discovered in a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera. This complex bronze mechanism dates back to around 100 or 200 years before the Common Era. Its sophisticated system of gears demonstrates that the ancient Greeks could predict and track various astronomical phenomena with amazing precision. The device could calculate the positions of the sun, moon, and probably the 5 planets known at the time, as well as the phases of the moon and even the cycles of eclipses. Perhaps most impressive is that the Antikythera mechanism incorporates the concept of epicycles, demonstrating that Greek astronomers understood the apparent retrograde motion of the planets. It is believed that this level of astronomical understanding was not achieved until much later in history. The mechanism also explains the irregular orbit of the moon, known as the first lunar anomaly irregular orbit of the moon, known as the first lunar anomaly, which reveals a nuanced knowledge of celestial mechanics. The existence of such a device suggests that the mathematical and engineering knowledge required to create it was more advanced than previously thought for that time. It implies a tradition of scientific research and technological innovation in ancient Greece capable of translating complex astronomical knowledge into a practical and functional instrument. Thus, the Antikythera mechanism opens a window onto the sophisticated Greek understanding of the universe, the cosmos, challenging our perception of primitive scientific capabilities and hinting at a legacy of knowledge that was nearly lost to time. Although we have made remarkable progress in exploring our cosmic neighborhood, The vast expanse of the universe suggests that there may be many more fascinating devices and phenomena waiting to be discovered. Astronomers and astrophysicists continue to push the boundaries of our knowledge, using increasingly sophisticated instruments and techniques to probe the depths of space. An area of particular interest is the search for advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. Some scientists speculate that highly evolved alien species may have built megastructures to withstand the effects of solar flares or to protect themselves from the elements. To probe the depths of space. One area of particular interest is the search for advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. Some scientists speculate that highly evolved alien species may have built megastructures or other large-scale devices detectable from Earth. These hypothetical constructions, such as Dion spheres or swarms, could harness the energy of stars, and another intriguing possibility lies in the realm of dark matter and dark energy. These mysterious components make up most of the universe, but their nature remains unclear. Future discoveries could reveal new types of cosmic structures or phenomena related to these enigmatic substances, potentially revolutionizing our understanding of the universe. As our technology advances, we may also discover new natural phenomena that challenge our current models of physics. From exotic forms of matter to previously unknown types of celestial objects. The cosmos is likely to hold many surprises that our current instruments are not yet capable of detecting or interpreting. The loss of knowledge and advanced technology over time is a complex phenomenon that has occurred many times throughout human history. One of the most notable examples is the decline of the Roman Empire, which led to the loss of many engineering and architectural techniques as societies faced upheavals, wars, and cultural changes. The transmission of specialized knowledge was interrupted in many cases. Advanced technologies were known only to a small group of experts. When these experts died without passing on their knowledge, or when their records were destroyed, entire fields of study could be lost. This was especially true in times before the widespread use of writing and printing, when knowledge was often transmitted orally or through limited written documents. Natural disasters and human conflicts have also played an important role in the loss of knowledge. The burning of the Library of Alexandria, for example, led to the destruction of countless ancient texts and scientific works. Similarly, the fall of civilizations often led to the abandonment of cities and the technologies they had developed, causing that knowledge to fall into oblivion. The passage of time. Furthermore, as societies changed, some technologies lost relevance or were actively suppressed. The transition from bronze to iron, for example, led to the loss of some advanced bronze working techniques. In other cases, religious or political factors influenced the knowledge that was preserved or discarded, further contributing to the erosion of technological knowledge over generations. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek astronomical calculator, has fascinated scientists and historians since its discovery in 1901. Although its complexity and sophistication have led to speculation about its origins, there is no credible evidence to suggest that it was of extraterrestrial origin. This extraordinary device was an advanced analog computer used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses. Its intricate system of ideal gears demonstrates the impressive technological capabilities of the ancient Greek civilization. The construction of the mechanism is consistent with the metallurgical techniques and astronomical knowledge of the time, placing it firmly within the realm of human achievement. Archaeological and historical evidence supports the terrestrial origin of the mechanism. Similar devices are mentioned in ancient texts, and the astronomical theories incorporated into the mechanism correspond to those developed by Greek astronomers and mathematicians. The inscriptions on the device are in ancient Greek, further confirming its manufacture. Although the mechanism represents an extraordinary leap in ancient technology, attributing it to extraterrestrial sources undermines the ingenuity and scientific progress of our ancestors. It serves as a testament to human creativity and the advanced state of Greek astronomy and engineering more than 2,000 years ago. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek analog computer, continues to amaze researchers with its complexity and potential capabilities. Although its potential remains unclear, there is no doubt that its primary function was astronomical calculations. Experts have proposed several additional functions that this extraordinary device could have performed. One intriguing possibility is that the mechanism was used for astrological predictions. In the ancient world, astronomy and astrology were often intertwined, and the precise planetary positions calculated by the device could have been interpreted for divination purposes. This function would have been highly valued in a society in which it was believed that celestial events influenced human affairs. Some scholars suggest that the Antikythera mechanism may have had practical applications in agriculture and navigation. By accurately predicting celestial events and seasonal changes, it could have helped farmers determine the optimal times for planting and harvesting. For sailors, the device's ability to calculate lunar phases and predict eclipses could have aided in navigation and voyage planning. Another proposed function is educational. The intricate design of the mechanism and the visual displays could have served as a teaching tool, helping students and scholars understand the movements of celestial bodies and the principles of mechanical engineering. This multifaceted device could have been a prized possession in an ancient university or library, used to demonstrate complex astronomical concepts in a tangible and interactive way. Music. The true age of the Baghdad battery remains a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists. This intriguing artifact, also known as the Parthian battery, was discovered in the village of Qujut Rabu near Baghdad, Iraq. Initial estimates suggested that it could be around 2,000 years old and date from the Parthian period between 250 BCE and 224 CE. However, more recent analyses have cast doubt on this early dating. Some experts believe that the Baghdad battery could be much younger, possibly from the Sassanid period, which lasted from 224 to 650 CE. This later dating is based on the style of the pottery and the materials used in the construction of the artifact. The uncertainty surrounding its age is compounded by the lack of a clear archaeological context, as the exact circumstances of its discovery are not well documented. The purpose of the Baghdad battery is equally controversial. While some researchers have suggested that it could have been used as a primitive form of electrical device for electroplating or pain relief, others argue that it could have been simply a storage container for sacred scrolls. The absence of written records mentioning its use or that of similar devices from the same period further complicates efforts to determine its true age and function. Given these uncertainties, the exact age of the Baghdad battery remains an open question in archaeology. As new dating and analysis techniques emerge, researchers continue to study this enigmatic object in the hope of unraveling the mysteries surrounding its origin and purpose. The ongoing debate serves as a reminder of the challenges posed by accurately dating ancient artifacts and interpreting their significance in historical contexts. The Baghdad battery, discovered in Iraq in 1938, has sparked a great deal of debate among archaeologists and historians. This ancient artifact, which dates from the Parthian period between 250 BC and 224 AD, consists of a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. Its resemblance to a modern battery has given rise to various theories about its purpose. Despite popular speculation that it was used to generate electricity, most experts believe that the Baghdad battery had a more mundane function. The prevailing theory suggests that it was probably used for electroplating, a process of coating one metal with another. This technique could have been used to add a thin layer of gold or silver to jewelry or other decorative objects. However, some researchers propose alternative uses. One theory suggests that it could have been a storage container for sacred scrolls, with the metal components serving as a preservation mechanism. Another hypothesis is that it could have been used for medicinal purposes, possibly as a method to relieve pain through a primitive form. Electrotherapy. It should be noted that although in theory the Baghdad battery could produce a small electric current, there is no conclusive evidence that the ancient Parthians understood or used electricity in this way. The true purpose of this intriguing artifact remains a subject of research and debate in the archaeological community. Although it is tempting to imagine that ancient civilizations had advanced technology, there is no conclusive evidence that they harnessed electricity as we understand it today. However, some intriguing artifacts and historical accounts have led to speculation about possible primitive electrical knowledge. The Baghdad battery, discovered in Iraq and dated to the Parthian period about 2,000 years ago, is often cited as possible evidence. This artifact consists of a ceramic jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod, which some researchers suggest could have produced a weak electric current when filled with an acidic liquid. However, the true purpose of this object remains a subject of debate, and many archaeologists propose more mundane uses, such as the storage of sacred scrolls in ancient Egypt. The elaborate electrical systems in some tombs have sparked theories about electrical knowledge. The absence of soot on the ceilings of certain chambers has led some to suggest the use of electric lamps. However, leading Egyptologists believe that these luminous effects were more likely achieved through the clever use of reflective surfaces and sunlight. Although these examples are fascinating, it is important to note that no ancient civilization left clear evidence of widespread use or knowledge of electricity. The systematic study and harnessing of electricity as we know it today began in the 17th century, marking the beginning of our modern electrical age. The Baghdad battery, discovered in Iraq and dated to the Parthian period some 2,000 years ago, is one of the oldest known devices that could generate electricity 00 years ago, has been the subject of fascination and debate among historians and scientists. This ancient artifact consists of a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod, which some researchers believe may have functioned as a primitive galvanic cell. Despite its intriguing design, the actual power of the Baghdad battery would have been quite modest by modern standards. If it functioned as an electrochemical cell, it could have generated a voltage off between 1 and 2 volts. This is equivalent to the power of a modern AA battery. However, the current produced by a device of this type would have been extremely low, probably in the order of a few milliamps at most. This means that although the Baghdad battery could have created a small electrical charge, its practical applications would have been limited. It might have been capable of producing a slight tingling sensation or perhaps galvanizing small metal objects. It is important to note that the true purpose of the Baghdad battery remains uncertain. Some scholars suggest that it may have been used for medicinal purposes or for religious ceremonies, while others propose that it may have been a simple storage container. Regardless of its original function, the Baghdad battery continues to spark curiosity about the knowledge and technological capabilities of ancient times. Although we often think of electricity as a modern invention, ancient civilizations had some surprising electrical devices. One of the most intriguing is the Baghdad battery, discovered in Iraq and dating back to the Parthian period around 2,000 years ago. This device consisted of a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod that could have produced a small electrical charge when filled with an acidic liquid such as vinegar. In ancient Egypt, some researchers believe that sophisticated lighting systems may have existed in certain tombs and temples. Although evidence is limited, theory suggests that the ancient Egyptians may have used a form of electric lighting possibly created through a combination of chemical reactions and simple electrical principles. Ancient Indian texts mention a device called Agastya Samhita, which some interpret as an early description of a primitive galvanic cell. Although its exact nature and capabilities remain a subject of debate, it hints at the possibility that in the Indian subcontinent, these examples, although controversial and often debated among historians and archaeologists, suggest that ancient civilizations may have had a greater knowledge of electrical phenomena than previously thought. However, it is important to note that the practical applications and widespread use of electricity, as we know it today, did not occur until much later in human history. Knowledge of electricity did not disappear entirely, but its understanding and practical applications certainly declined over the centuries. Ancient civilizations, such as the Greeks and Egyptians, had rudimentary knowledge of static electricity, observing phenomena such as lightning or the attraction between amber and light objects. However, this basic knowledge did not translate into a comprehensive understanding or widespread use of electrical principles during the Middle Ages. In Europe, scientific progress slowed in many fields, including the study of electricity. Interest shifted away from natural philosophy and empirical observation, leading to a decline in electrical experimentation. Meanwhile, in other parts of the world, such as during the Islamic Golden Age, some scholars continued to study and document electrical phenomena, but their work did not lead to significant technological advances. Interest in electricity was not rekindled in Europe until the 16th and 17th centuries, when William Gilbert, Benjamin Franklin, and Alessandro Volta began conducting systematic experiments that laid the foundations of our modern understanding of electricity. This resurgence of interest eventually led to the practical applications we depend on today. The apparent loss and rediscovery of electrical knowledge highlights how scientific understanding can change over time under the influence of cultural, social, and historical factors. It serves as a reminder of the importance of preserving and building on scientific knowledge across generations. The Baghdad Battery, discovered in Iraq during the Parthian period, has intrigued scientists and historians for decades. Although its exact purpose remains a matter of debate, some researchers have proposed that it may have been used for medicinal purposes. One theory suggests that the device could have been used to relieve pain or for other therapeutic treatments. Ancient texts mention the use of electric fish to treat ailments such as headaches and arthritis. If the Baghdad Battery did produce an electric current, it could be a rudimentary attempt to reproduce these effects without resorting to live fish. Another possibility is that the battery was used in electroplating, a process that could have had both decorative and medicinal applications. Some ancient cultures believed that certain metals had healing properties, and applying a thin layer of these metals on the skin may have been considered a form of treatment. However, it is important to note that these theories remain speculation. The relatively weak current that the Baghdad Battery could have produced may not have been sufficient to produce significant medical effects. Furthermore, there is no conclusive evidence that electricity was widespread in the ancient world, so it is difficult to determine whether the device was intentionally created for any specific purpose, specific medicinal or other purpose. In addition to the Baghdad Battery, other artifacts and historical documents point to an advanced knowledge of electricity in ancient times. In Egypt, intricate engravings in the Temple of Dendera depict what some interpret as ancient light bulbs with filaments and energy sources. These controversial images have sparked debate about the technological capabilities of the ancient Egyptians. If we move to South America, we find curious golden figurines. From pre-Columbian civilizations. Some of these artifacts, especially those from the Kambaya culture, bear a striking resemblance to modern aircraft. Some researchers suggest that these objects may have been more than mere ornaments, suggesting that they may have been models of flying machines powered by electrical means. In ancient India, texts such as the Agastya Samhita describe what appears to be a method for constructing primitive batteries. These descriptions, dating back thousands of years, describe a process of using clay pots, copper, and other metals to generate electric current. Although the exact purpose of these devices remains unclear, their mention in ancient literature is intriguing. Throughout the Mediterranean, the legendary Ark of the Covenant has been the subject of speculation about its possible electrical properties. Some researchers propose that its description in biblical texts suggests that it could have functioned as a capacitor by storing and discharging electrical energy. Although these theories remain highly controversial, they contribute to the current debate on ancient electrical knowledge. The Baghdad Battery, discovered in Iraq and dated to the Parthian period some 2,000 years ago, has sparked considerable debate among historians and scientists. If this device really functioned as an electrochemical cell, and had been widely adopted in ancient times, it could have dramatically altered the trajectory of technological development. Imagine a world in which ancient civilizations harnessed electrical energy centuries before the modern era. This early mastery of electricity could have revolutionized metalworking techniques, enabling more advanced production of tools, weapons, and decorative objects. The ability to electroplate metals could have improved the durability of artifacts and potentially led to new forms of art and craftsmanship. In the field of medicine, controlled electrical currents could have been used to alleviate pain or for other therapeutic purposes, which could have advanced medical knowledge far beyond its actual historical progression. Furthermore, if the concept of electricity had been understood and widely applied, it could have led to the first forms of long-distance communication, fundamentally changing the way ancient empires managed their territories and waged war. However, it is crucial to note that although the Baghdad Battery remains an intriguing artifact, its true purpose and capabilities remain a subject of debate among scholars. The potential implications described are speculative and based on the assumption of its widespread use as an electrical device, something that historical evidence does not corroborate. The Baghdad Battery, discovered in Iraq in 1938, has sparked many intriguing theories, including speculation about extraterrestrial involvement. However, the scientific consensus does not support this extraordinary claim. In general, archaeologists and historians agree that the Baghdad Battery, also known as the Parthian Battery, was probably a simple galvanic cell. It consisted of a clay pot containing an iron rod surrounded by a copper cylinder. When filled with an acidic liquid, such as vinegar or wine, it could generate a small electrical charge. Although this device demonstrates an impressive ancient knowledge of basic electrical principles, no advanced alien technology is needed to explain its existence. Similar simple batteries were invented independently in other parts of the world, suggesting that humans discovered these concepts naturally through experimentation and observation. Existence. Similar simple batteries were invented independently in other parts of the world, suggesting that humans discovered these concepts naturally through experimentation and observation. The purpose of the Baghdad Battery remains uncertain, with theories ranging from medicinal uses to electroplating. However, its relatively simple construction and limited capabilities make an extraterrestrial origin unlikely. The fascination with this artifact reminds us of the ingenuity of our ancestors and the human tendency to seek extraordinary explanations for the unknown. The Boich manuscript remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in the world of historical documents. This enigmatic book, named after Wilfried Boich, the Polish bookseller who acquired it in 1912, continues to baffle scholars and cryptographers. The manuscript is shrouded in uncertainty, but carbon dating suggests that it was created in the early 15th century. Most experts believe it originated in Central Europe, possibly in northern Italy. The text is written in an unknown alphabet accompanied by strange illustrations of plants, astronomical diagrams, and human figures. Despite numerous attempts to decipher its contents, the Boich manuscript has resisted all efforts at translation. This has given rise to various theories about its purpose and creator. Some speculate that it may be the work of a medieval alchemist or herbalist, while others suggest that it could be an elaborate hoax or a coded message from an unknown civilization. The manuscript's journey through history adds to its mystique. It passed through the hands of several owners, including Emperor Rudolf I, before disappearing for centuries. Its discovery and subsequent attempts at deciphering have captivated researchers and the public alike, making it a persistent enigma in the fields of historical linguistics and cryptography. The Boich manuscript has baffled scholars and cryptographers alike. All attempts to decipher this enigmatic book, which dates back to the early 15th century, have failed. It contains strange illustrations and texts written in an unknown script that has defied countless efforts to crack its code. One of the reasons for its mystery is the unique nature of its writing system. The manuscript uses a set of symbols that do not correspond to any known alphabet or writing system. This makes It's incredibly difficult to find a starting point for deciphering it, as there are no familiar patterns or structures to draw upon. Another factor contributing to its indecipherability is that it leaves researchers without crucial clues that could help unravel its secrets. In addition, the unusual illustrations accompanying the text, which depict unidentifiable plants and astronomical diagrams, only add to the confusion rather than providing clarity to theories about the manuscript. Range from it being an elaborate hoax to it being a work of esoteric knowledge deliberately encoded to protect its contents. Some experts even suggest that it could be written in an invented language. Despite advanced computer analysis and the application of various linguistic and cryptographic techniques, the true meaning of this mysterious tome remains elusive, consolidating its status as one of the world's most perplexing unsolved enigmas. The Boich manuscript, a mysterious book dating back to the early 15th century, contains a wealth of peculiar illustrations that have puzzled scholars for centuries. These enigmatic images depict a wide variety of subjects, from what appear to be botanical drawings to astronomical charts and even human figures. Many of the manuscript's plant illustrations do not correspond to any known species, leading some researchers to speculate that they may represent flora or even imaginary plants. The astronomical diagrams feature circular patterns reminiscent of celestial bodies, but their exact meaning remains unclear. Perhaps most intriguing are the illustrations showing groups of naked women in what appear to be elaborate bathhouses or pool systems. These scenes have sparked numerous theories about their meaning, ranging from alchemical processes to gynecological treatises. Despite numerous studies carried out, the true meaning of these illustrations remains a subject of debate. Some scholars argue that they represent a coded language or symbolic system, while others suggest that they could be the product of an elaborate hoax. The enigma of the Boich manuscript continues to captivate researchers and enthusiasts alike, and is a testament to the enduring power of unsolved mysteries in human history. The Boich manuscript has baffled scholars and cryptographers for centuries, and the possibility that it is an elaborate hoax remains a subject of debate. This mysterious book of unknown texts and strange illustrations has resisted all attempts to decipher it, leading some to question its authenticity. Supporters of the hoax theory argue that the fact that the manuscript consistently adheres to certain linguistic patterns while remaining indecipherable could be the work of a skilled forger. They point to the absence of corrections or errors in the text, something unusual in an authentic document of its supposed age. Furthermore, the strange nature of some of the illustrations and the manuscript's resistance to modern methods of deciphering fuel suspicions of intentional obfuscation. However, many experts believe that the Boich manuscript is authentic. Carbon dating places its creation in the early 15th century, making it highly unlikely that it is an elaborate hoax from that period. The materials used in its creation, such as the vellum and inks, match with those of medieval European manuscripts. Furthermore, the enormous complexity and coherence of the unknown writing system make forgery unlikely, as creating such a complex work would require extraordinary effort and skill. Although the possibility of a hoax cannot be completely ruled out, the prevailing opinion among scholars is that the Boich manuscript is an authentic historical document. Although enigmatic, its true nature and purpose remain unknown, making it one of the most intriguing unsolved mysteries in the world of ancient texts and cryptography. The Boich manuscript has long captivated researchers and code breakers with its mysterious content. This enigmatic book, dating from the 15th century, contains a large number of illustrations depicting plants, astronomical diagrams, and human figures, all accompanied by text written in an unknown script. Some experts believe that the manuscript could contain advanced botanical knowledge, possibly describing plants unknown to European science at the time. Others speculate that it may contain alchemical secrets or astronomical and cosmological knowledge ahead of its time. There are also theories that the Boich manuscript could contain medical knowledge, possibly describing treatments or remedies that were lost to history. Some researchers even suggest that it could contain information about mathematical concepts yet to be discovered or the first attempts to understand genetics and heredity. Despite numerous attempts to decipher its contents, the true nature of the knowledge hidden in the Boich manuscript remains elusive. This persistent mystery continues to fuel speculation and drive efforts to uncover its secrets, leading us to wonder what revolutionary information its pages might hide. The Boich manuscript remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in the world of historical documents. Named after Wilfried Boich, the Polish bookseller who acquired it in 1912, this enigmatic text has baffled scholars and cryptographers for centuries. The true author of the manuscript remains unknown, despite numerous attempts to identify its creator. Theories range from medieval scholars to Renaissance alchemists to extraterrestrial origins. Carbon dating places the manuscript's parchment at the early 15th century, but this only tells us when the material was created, not when the text was written. The purpose of the manuscript is equally mysterious. Its pages contain strange illustrations of unidentified plants, astronomical diagrams, and what appear to be medicinal recipes. Some researchers believe it is a compendium of forgotten medical knowledge, while others suggest it could be an elaborate hoax or a coded message of some kind. Attempts to decipher the text have been unsuccessful, as its unique script and unknown language defy all conventional methods of cryptanalysis. The mystery persists and continues to captivate researchers and enthusiasts alike, driving efforts to unlock the secrets of this baffling document. The Boich manuscript has long puzzled scholars and researchers with its indecipherable text and strange illustrations. Although some have speculated about its extraterrestrial origin, there is no credible evidence to suggest that the manuscript contains information from extraterrestrial sources. Experts agree that the Boich manuscript was created in the 15th or early 16th century, probably in Europe. The materials and techniques used in its creation are consistent with medieval European bookbinding practices. The illustrations show recognizable plants, astronomical diagrams, and human figures, all in a style typical of the period. The idea of extraterrestrial involvement stems from our inability to decipher the manuscript's contents. However, it is more likely that this mystery is due to an elaborate encryption system, an invented language, or a combination of both, rather than extraterrestrial influence. Many historical texts have remained unreadable for centuries before finally being deciphered. Ongoing research continues to reveal clues about the manuscript's origin and purpose. Although its secrets remain elusive, the evidence points to human authorship, either by someone with extraordinary cryptographic skills for their time. The appeal of the manuscript does not lie in its supposed extraterrestrial connections, but in the intellectual challenge it poses to modern scholars and code breakers. The Boich manuscript, a mysterious 15th century document that has baffled scholars for centuries, continues to intrigue researchers using cutting-edge technologies in their quest to unlock its secrets. One of the most promising methods is artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. These advanced computer systems analyze the text, and promising methods is artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. These advanced computer systems analyze the text and images of the manuscript in search of patterns and correlations that human eyes might overlook. Researchers are also using sophisticated imaging techniques to reveal hidden details on the pages of the manuscript. Multispectral images that capture data across the entire electromagnetic spectrum can detect faint traces of ink or invisible ink, which could reveal clues about the document's origin and creation process. In addition, X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy is being used to analyze the chemical composition of the ink and parchment, providing insight into the materials and methods used by the manuscript creator. Another innovative approach is computational linguistics and natural language processing. These technologies compare the structure and patterns of the Boich text with languages, both ancient and modern, in an attempt to decipher its code or identify its linguistic family. Some researchers are even exploring the possibility that the manuscript is a completely unknown language or writing system. Crowdsourcing and citizen science initiatives have also emerged, harnessing the power of global collaboration. Online platforms allow enthusiasts and experts alike to contribute their ideas and theories, creating a vast pool of knowledge and ideas that researchers can draw upon. This combination of cutting-edge technology and collective human intelligence offers new hope for finally deciphering the code of this enigmatic text. The Boich manuscript, an enigmatic 15th century text, has left an indelible mark on the field of modern cryptography. This mysterious book, filled with indecipherable texts and strange illustrations, has challenged code breakers and linguists for centuries, driving advances in cryptanalysis technique. The manuscript's resistance to decryption has inspired the most sophisticated cryptographers to decipher the code. These efforts have led to the creation of new algorithms and computational approaches that are now used in various fields of cryptography. The persistent mystery surrounding the Boich text has also encouraged researchers to explore unconventional linguistic structures and coding systems, expanding our understanding of how information can be hidden and transmit information. In addition, the Boich manuscript has become a benchmark for testing new decryption technologies, serving as a challenging case study for cryptographers to evaluate the effectiveness of their latest tools and methodologies. This ongoing process of attempting to decipher the Boich code has contributed to the refinement of machine learning and artificial intelligence applications in cryptography. The manuscript's influence extends beyond technical aspects, influencing the way we approach the concept of unbreakable codes. It serves as a reminder that some decryption methods can withstand centuries of scrutiny, influencing the development of modern secure communication systems. The Voynich manuscript continues to captivate cryptographers and remind us of the enduring power of a well-crafted code. The Voynich manuscript is not the only enigmatic one. Other ancient texts continue to baffle scholars and cryptographers. One of these is the Rohan Codex, a mysterious illustrated manuscript. Discovered in Hungary in the 19th century, its writing remains unidentified, and its content continues to be the subject of intense debate among researchers. Another intriguing, undeciphered text is the Phaistos disc, found on the Greek island of Crete. This clay disc, dating from the 2nd millennium BCE, features a spiral of stamped symbols that have resisted all attempts at translation. Scholars do not know whether it represents a language, a code, or something entirely different. Indus Valley script used in the ancient Indus Valley civilization is another writing system that remains undeciphered despite thousands of examples on seals and pottery. Linguists have been unable to crack its code, partly due to the lack of a bilingual text to aid translation. Finally, we have the Rongorongo script from Easter Island. This system of glyphs carved on wooden tablets has puzzled researchers since its discovery. While some believe it is a form of writing, others argue that it could be a memory aid for reciting oral traditions. Its meaning, like that of the Boich manuscript, remains a mystery that reminds us of the mysteries of our past. The Shroud of Turin remains one of the most studied and debated religious artifacts in history. This long linen cloth shows the faint image of a man who appears to have suffered wounds typical of crucifixion, although some believe it is the actual funeral shroud of Jesus Christ. Scientific evidence suggests otherwise. Carbon dating tests carried out in 1988 on a small sample of the shroud's fabric indicated that it originated between 1260 and 1390 CE. This period is well after the life and death of Jesus Christ. However, some argue that these tests may have been compromised by contamination or repairs made to the shroud over time. Other scientific analyses have revealed the presence of pollen grains from plants native to the Middle East, lending some credibility to the supposed origin of a shroud. In addition, the unique nature of the image on the cloth, which appears as a photographic negative, has puzzled researchers and fueled debate about its formation. Despite intense scrutiny, no definitive consensus has been reached on the authenticity of a shroud. The Catholic Church, while allowing its veneration, has not officially declared it a relic. Authentic. The shroud continues to captivate both believers and skeptics alike and is a testament to the enduring power of faith and the complex relationship between science and religion. The creation of the image on the Shroud of Turin remains the subject of intense debate and scientific speculation. This ancient linen cloth shows the faint image of a man who appears to have suffered injuries consistent with crucifixion. Although some believe that it is the burial shroud of Jesus Christ, its origins and the mechanism by which the image was formed. Image continue to baffle researchers. Several theories have been proposed to explain how the image was created. One hypothesis suggests that the image could be the result of a chemical reaction between the linen fibers and the vapors emanating from a decomposing body. This process, known as the Maillard reaction, could create a brown imprint on the fabric. Another theory proposes that the image could have been formed by a burst of radar energy at the moment of resurrection. If the religious context is accepted, some researchers have attempted to reproduce this effect using ultraviolet light or other forms of radiation with varying degrees of success. Skeptics. Some researchers have attempted to reproduce this effect using ultraviolet light or other forms of radiation with varying degrees of success. Skeptics, however, maintain that the image could be the work of a medieval artist, possibly using early photographic techniques or a form of rubbing. Despite numerous studies, including radiocarbon dating and microscopic analysis, the image on the Shroud of Turin remains unexplained. One of the most intriguing and controversial objects in history. Scientific tests carried out on the Shroud of Turin have yielded intriguing results, shedding light on its age and origins. Carbon-14 dating carried out in 1988 suggested that the shroud was created between 1260 and 1390 AD. This date is well after the life of Jesus Christ, which calls into question the idea that the shroud was his burial cloth. However, subsequent studies have cast doubt on the accuracy of the results. Some researchers argue that contamination caused by medieval repairs or environmental factors could have skewed the dating process. In addition, other scientific analyses have revealed characteristics that are difficult to explain if the shroud were a medieval creation. Microscopic analysis has identified pollen grains from plants native to the region, suggesting that the shroud was present in that region at some point in its history. Furthermore, advanced techniques of imaging have revealed details in the image on the shroud that are not visible to the naked eye, including what appear to be coins placed over the eyes of the figure, in keeping with Jewish burial practices in the 1st century. Although scientific evidence has not conclusively determined the age or authenticity of the shroud, it has certainly deepened the mystery surrounding this enigmatic artifact. The contradictory evidence has sparked continuous debate and research, demonstrating the complex interaction between scientific research and objects of historical and religious significance. The Shroud of Turin remains the subject of intense debate among scientists, historians, and religious scholars. Some believe it is the authentic burial cloth of Jesus Christ, while others argue that it could be a medieval forgery. Carbon dating tests carried out in 1988 suggested that the shroud originated between 1260 and 390 AD, which would place it directly in the medieval period. However, these results have been refuted by some researchers who claim that contamination from more recent materials could have skewed the dating. Skeptics point to several factors that support the forgery theory. The artistic style and anatomical proportions of the image on the shroud are consistent with medieval art. Furthermore, there is no clear historical record of the shroud prior to the mid-14th century. Some experts have proposed that a skilled artist could have created the image using techniques available in the Middle Ages, such as rubbing a linen cloth on a bas-relief or a hot statue. However, defenders of the authenticity of the shroud argue that the unique characteristics of the image are difficult to reproduce and that it contains information consistent with Roman crucifixion practices. They also cite the presence of pollen from plants native to the Middle East as proof of its origin. In addition, some researchers claim to have found remnants of 1st century text on the shroud. Although these findings are highly disputed, the debate surrounding the Shroud of Turin continues, and new studies and analyses appear periodically. While the possibility that it is a medieval forgery remains strong, it may never be known with absolute certainty. The complete history of its origin and creation, the shroud continues to captivate the imagination of millions of people and remains a powerful symbol regardless of its true age, its origin. Shroud of Turin, a famous religious artifact, offers an intriguing glimpse into ancient funeral customs. This linen cloth, which some believe to be the burial shroud of Jesus Christ, shows a detailed negative image of a man's body. Its existence and preservation shed light on various aspects of funeral practices in the ancient Near East. The dimensions and weave of the shroud are consistent with the high-quality burial cloths used to bury important people in the 1st century. This indicates that elaborate funeral preparations were made for certain deceased individuals, using carefully chosen fabrics. The length of the cloth, approximately 4 meters, suggests that it was intended to completely wrap the body, a common practice in Jewish funerals at the time. The remains of aromatic substances found in the shroud match historical accounts of the anointing of bodies with spices and oils before burial. This practice had practical and ritual purposes, as it helped mask the smell of decomposition and symbolized respect for the deceased. The presence of these substances in the shroud corroborates the writings on the funeral customs of the time. Furthermore, the preservation of the shroud itself tells us about the nature of the tombs used in ancient times. The fact that such a delicate object survived suggests that it was kept in a cool, dry environment typical of the rock-cut tombs used by the wealthiest families in Judea in the 1st century. This is consistent with archaeological evidence from funerals of the time and region, providing a tangible link to ancient funeral customs. The Holy Shroud has endured over the centuries thanks to a combination of factors. Its extraordinary preservation can be attributed to the careful storage and handling practices employed by its custodians over the years. The fabric has been preserved in controlled environments, protected from light, moisture, and handling employed by its custodians over the years. The fabric has been kept in controlled environments, protected from light, moisture, and other potentially damaging elements. The material composition of the Holy Shroud has contributed to its longevity. Made from linen, a durable natural fiber, the fabric has inherent properties that make it resistant to decomposition. The weave of the fabric is also exceptionally fine, which has helped to maintain its structural integrity over time. Periodic restoration efforts have played a crucial role in the survival of the Holy Shroud. Conservators have carried out delicate repairs and applied conservation techniques to treat wear and damage. Although minimal in order to maintain authenticity, these interventions have been vital in prolonging the life of this ancient artifact. It should be noted that the Holy Shroud has suffered threats throughout its history, such as fires and water damage. Its survival. These incidents, combined with the strenuous efforts to preserve it, has allowed this enigmatic object to remain a subject of fascination and study to this day. The Holy Shroud continues to perplex scientists and researchers due to several inexplicable phenomena. One of the most intriguing aspects is the image itself, which appears to be the negative imprint of a crucified man. Despite numerous studies, the exact mechanism that created this image remains unknown. Traditional artistic techniques, but no conclusive scientific explanation has been found. Another puzzling feature is the three-dimensional information in the image. When analyzed with specific imaging techniques, the shroud reveals depth and contour information that is not usually present in two-dimensional images or paintings. This feature has led some researchers to suggest that the image could have been formed by a process involving radiation or some other unknown energy source. The shroud also has unusual preservation properties. The linen fabric has remained intact despite its supposed age, and the image has not significantly degraded over time. This resistance contrasts with the usual deterioration of similar objects. In addition, the pollen grains found on the shroud have been identified as species native to the Middle East adding another layer of mystery to its origins. Finally, the bloodstains on the shroud have perplexed experts. These stains have characteristics of real blood, including the presence of bilirubin, which is consistent with someone who suffered severe trauma. However, the way the blood has interacted with the fabric and its preservation over time are not fully understood, giving rise to ongoing scientific research and debate about the true nature and origin of the Holy Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin has been subject to intense scrutiny and scientific debate for decades. While some defend its authenticity as the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, others suggest that it could be a medieval creation. The question of whether advanced technology could have been used to create the image is intriguing, but it is important to consider the historical context. The image on the shroud is extraordinarily detailed and shows a negative imprint of a man's body. This level of detail has led some to speculate about the use of advanced techniques. However, the first confirmed historical record of the shroud dates back to the mid-14th century, long before the advent of photography or other imaging technologies that we would consider advanced. Scientists have proposed several methods that could have been used to create the image, including techniques involving heat, light-sensitive chemicals, or even early forms of acid etching. Although potentially sophisticated for their time, these methods would not be considered advanced by modern standards. Some researchers have attempted to recreate similar images using materials and methods available in the medieval period. It should be noted that the exact mechanism of image formation remains unknown. They would not be considered advanced by modern standards. Some researchers have attempted to recreate similar images using materials and methods available in medieval times. It should be noted that the exact mechanism of image formation remains unknown despite exhaustive scientific analysis. This uncertainty continues to fuel speculation and debate about the origins of the Holy Shroud and the methods used in its creation, making it a subject of ongoing research and fascination. The Holy Shroud has gone through centuries of tumultuous history, witnessing the rise and fall of empires and surviving numerous dangers. This controversial artifact, which some consider to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, first appeared in historical records in the mid-14th century in France. In 14, the shroud was acquired by the House of Savoy, an influential noble family, who moved it to Chambéry, France, where it was narrowly saved from destruction in a fire in 1532. The cloth bears burn marks from this incident, adding another layer to its complex history. Later, in 1978, the shroud was moved to Turin, Italy, where it remains to this day. During World War II, it was secretly moved to the Abbey of Montevirgin to protect it from possible bombing or theft. In 1997, the shroud was once again in danger when a fire broke out in the Turin Cathedral. Fortunately, a firefighter managed to save it from the flames. Throughout its known history, the Shroud of Turin has been the subject of numerous scientific studies, public exhibitions, and heated debates about its authenticity. It continues to captivate the imagination of millions of people and is a testament to the enduring power of faith and mystery in human history. The Shroud of Turin has long been a source of fascination and controversy and has challenged our understanding of history, religion, and science. This ancient linen cloth features the blurred image of a man who appears to have suffered wounds consistent with crucifixion, leading many to believe that it could be the burial shroud of Jesus Christ. What makes the Holy Shroud particularly intriguing is the nature of the image itself. Unlike a conventional painting or photograph, the image on the Holy Shroud is a negative, with light and dark areas reversed. This property was not discovered until 1898, when the shroud was photographed for the first time, raising questions about how such an image could have been created centuries ago. Scientific examinations of the shroud have yielded conflicting results. Carbon dating tests carried out in 1988 suggested that the cloth originated in the medieval period between 1260 and 1390. However, some researchers argue that these results could be skewed by contamination or repairs made to the shroud over time. The shroud continues to challenge our understanding by presenting a complex interaction of faith, history and science. It forces us to question the limits of our scientific knowledge and the role of religious artifacts in modern society. Authentic or not, the Holy Shroud remains a powerful symbol that bridges ancient history and contemporary scientific research. P.Y. Rees, an Ottoman admiral and cartographer, created his famous world map in 1511, compiling information from various sources. He based his work on existing maps, including those of ancient Greek and Arab geographers, as well as more recent European charts. Rees also incorporated knowledge from Portuguese explorers and possibly even older maps that have now been lost to history. P.Y. Rees's map stands out for the accuracy of its description of the coasts of Africa, Europe, and South America. Despite having been created only 2 decades after Columbus's voyages, the map shows a surprisingly good knowledge of the geography of the Atlantic Ocean, with details of the Caribbean islands and even a partial outline of Antarctica, which would not be officially discovered until centuries later. Rees's ability to synthesize various sources of information allowed him to create a map that was far ahead of its time. He carefully evaluated and combined data from various navigators and explorers, resulting in a more complete and accurate representation of the world than many of his contemporaries were able to produce. However, it is important to note that although P.Y. Rees's map is impressive for its time, it still contains inaccuracies and speculative elements, especially in poorly explored regions. At the time, the map remains a testament to the advanced state of Ottoman cartography and the global exchange of geographical knowledge in the early 10th century. Created over 13 years by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer P.Y. Rees, the map has been the subject of much debate and speculation. Some have claimed that it depicts Antarctica without ice. This would imply knowledge of the continent's coastline before it was covered by glaciers. However, this interpretation is not supported by the main scientific evidence or by the consensus of cartography experts. The map is a compilation of earlier maps and charts, including information from Christopher Columbus' voyages. Experts agree that it represents the eastern coast of South America, distorted due to the limited geographical knowledge of the time. The supposed Antarctic coastline is probably a misinterpretation of this distorted South American geography. It is important to note that Antarctica was not officially discovered until 1820, more than 300 years after the creation of the P.Y. map. The continent has been covered in ice for millions of years, long before human civilization. The idea that the map shows an ice-free Antarctica is based on pseudoscientific claims and not on historical or solid geological evidence. The P.Y. map remains a valuable historical document, showing the cartographic knowledge and techniques of its time. However, its accuracy in representing world geography is limited by the information available to its creator in the early 16th century. The true importance of the map lies in its historical context, rather than in its supposed representation of unknown lands. P.Y. Rees, a famous Ottoman admiral and cartographer, drew on various sources to create his famous Mappa Mundi in 1513. His map incorporated information from both contemporary writings and ancient knowledge, making it a fascinating blend of old and new geographical knowledge. One of the most intriguing aspects of P.Y. Rees' map is his use of ancient sources. He claimed to have consulted maps from the time of Alexander the Great, which would have been more than 18 centuries old when P.Y. Rees created his work. These Alexandrian maps probably contained information gathered during the extensive conquests and explorations of the Macedonian Empire. P.Y. Rees also mentioned the use of maps from the ancient Phoenicians, a seafaring civilization known for its extensive maritime trade routes. The Phoenicians' nautical expertise and long-range voyages would have provided valuable information about distant coasts and islands. In addition, P.Y. Rees referred to Arab geographers and their works, which had preserved and expanded much of the ancient Greek and Roman geographical knowledge. These ancient sources, P.Y. Rees incorporated more recent information from Portuguese and Spanish explorers, as well as Christopher Columbus's maps of the New World. This combination of ancient wisdom and contemporary discoveries resulted in an innovative map deeply rooted in historical geographical traditions. The P.Y. Rees map, created in 13 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer P.Y. Rees, is an extraordinary historical document that has fascinated scholars for centuries. Compared to modern maps, it shows a level of surprising accuracy for its time, especially in its representation of the Atlantic coasts of Africa and South America. The representation of the African coast stands out, whose shape and main features closely resemble those of contemporary maps. The South American coast, although not perfect, is also represented with considerable accuracy, especially considering that the continent had just been discovered by Europeans. However, it is important to note that the P.Y. Rees map also contains significant inaccuracies. Compared to modern cartography, the relative sizes and positions of land masses are often distorted, and the map includes some speculative geography, especially in its representation of southern landmass that some have interpreted as Antarctica. Despite its flaws, P.Y.'s map remains an impressive achievement for its time, demonstrating the advanced state of nautical knowledge and cartography in the early of the 15th century and serves as a testament to the exchange of information between different cultures and civilizations during the Age of Exploration. The P.Y. Rees map, created in 1512 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer P.Y. Rees, has long fascinated historians and researchers. Although some claim it as proof of advanced world exploration in ancient times, the reality is more nuanced. The map shows remarkable accuracy for its time in its representation of the Atlantic coasts of Africa and South America. This accuracy led to speculation about ancient seafaring civilizations with a global reach. However, most scholars attribute this accuracy to the map's sources and not to ancient knowledge or learning. P.Y. Rees himself stated that he used about 20 maps and charts as references, some of which dated back to the time of Alexander the Great. He also incorporated information from contemporary Portuguese and Spanish explorations. This combination of ancient and modern sources probably explains the unique characteristics of the map. One controversial aspect is the supposed representation of Antarctica on the map, which some interpret as evidence of ancient knowledge of the continent's coastline under the ice. However, geographers generally consider this to be a misinterpretation of the South American coastline distorted by the map's construction method. Although the P.Y. Rees map is a remarkable historical document, it is more likely that it shows the culmination of 15th century geographical knowledge than evidence of advanced global exploration in ancient times. As we continue our exploration of the Earth's geography, we encounter several land masses that have not yet been fully identified or explored. These mysterious regions include remote islands in the vast Pacific Ocean, some of which may be newly formed or have been discovered recently thanks to improvements in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. Ice is revealing previously hidden land masses, leading scientists to re-evaluate our maps of these polar areas. Some of these newly exposed lands could harbor unique ecosystems that have remained isolated for thousands of years in the depths. From the Amazon rainforest, there are still areas that remain unmapped. Due to their inaccessibility, these regions could hide geological features yet to be discovered, or even the remains of ancient civilizations. Similarly, parts of the dense jungles of Central Africa remain a challenge for cartographers and explorers. In the oceans, submerged plateaus and submarines are constantly being discovered and mapped. Although not visible on traditional maps, these submerged land masses play crucial roles in ocean currents and marine ecosystems, highlighting the importance of continuing to exploring the seabed of our planet. The P.Y. Rees map, created over 13 years by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer P.Y. Rees, has long fascinated historians and researchers for its seemingly accurate depiction of the South American coastline. However, it is important to note that the map's accuracy has been exaggerated over time. In reality, P.Y. Rees did not represent the entire coast of South America with perfect accuracy. Rather, he compiled information from various sources, such as earlier maps, sailors' accounts, and even ancient letters. The admiral himself stated that he used around 20 maps and letters as sources, some of which dated back to the time of Alexander the Great. The apparent accuracy of certain parts of the South American coast on Piri Reis map can be attributed to the incorporation of information from the first Portuguese and Spanish explorations in the 11th century. European explorers had already mapped significant parts of the South American coast. It is likely that this knowledge reached Ottoman cartographers through trade networks and captured letters. It should also be noted that some of the apparently accurate features of Piri Reis map are actually misplaced or distorted. For example, the map shows an extension to the south of the South American continent that some have interpreted as Antarctica, but it is likely to be an erroneous representation of the actual geography. The representation of South America on the map, although impressive for its time, it is not as accurate as some popular claims suggest. The Piri Reis map, created in 1511 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, offers interesting insights into navigation and ancient times. This extraordinary chart, showing parts of America, Africa, and even Antarctica, suggests that early explorers may have had more advanced navigational skills than previously believed. One of the most surprising features of Piri's map is its relative accuracy in the representation of coastlines, especially those of South America and Africa. This accuracy indicates that ancient navigators were capable of making detailed observations and measurements during their voyages, which challenges our understanding of early navigation techniques. The map also includes information about distant lands supposedly unknown to European and Middle Eastern cartographers of the time. This has led some researchers to speculate about the possibility that ancient navigators undertook more extensive voyages than those recorded in conventional history, even reaching the Antarctic coast before its official discovery in the 19th century. However, it is important to note that the Piri map remains a subject of debate among historians and cartographers. Although it demonstrates impressive cartographic skill for its time, some of its accuracy can be attributed to the compilation of various sources, such as older maps and sailors' accounts. Nevertheless, the map continues to spark fascination and research into the capabilities of ancient maritime civilizations. The Piri Reis map, created in 1512 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, has long fascinated historians and researchers. Although some have speculated about the involvement of extraterrestrials, the scientific consensus points to a more earthly origin for the information contained in the accuracy of the map, especially in its representation of the coast of South America, has given rise to various theories about its sources. However, Piri Reis himself stated that he compiled the map from some 20 older maps and charts, some of which date back to the time of Magellan. Many of these sources probably came from Portuguese and Spanish explorations, which were at their peak during this period. An intriguing aspect of the map is its apparent representation of Antarctica, which was not officially discovered until 300 years later. However, it is more likely that this representation is the result of speculation or misinterpretation of other land masses rather than actual knowledge of the continent's existence. Although the idea of extraterrestrial involvement is captivating, the map's content can be explained by the extensive maritime knowledge accumulated by various civilizations over the centuries. The Piri Reis map is a testament to the remarkable cartographic skills and global understanding that existed in the early 15th century and demonstrates the power of human exploration and the exchange of knowledge between cultures. In addition to the controversial Piri Reis map, other ancient maps have puzzled historians and cartographers with their seemingly advanced geographical knowledge. The Bosch map, created by Philippe Bosch in 1737, depicts Antarctica without its ice cap, showing more land and mountain ranges than were confirmed by modern studies in the 20th century. This map raises questions about how such information could have been available centuries before Antarctica was officially discovered. Another intriguing example is the 1424 map of Xenon, which appears to show parts of North America, including Greenland, with a precision that was remarkable for its time. The map predates the official discovery of America by several decades, leading some to speculate about early Nordic explorations or other unknown voyages the Oront finding map from is another source of mystery. It shows Antarctica in remarkable detail, including river valleys and mountains that are now hidden under miles of ice. Some researchers argue that this map suggests that ancient civilizations had advanced cartographic capabilities or access to information now lost to us. These maps challenge our understanding of ancient geographical knowledge and exploration, although skeptics argue that some features could be coincidental or based on speculation. The level of detail and accuracy in certain areas continues to fuel debate about the extent of early human exploration and the possibility that ancient knowledge may have been lost. The Coso artifact, discovered in 1961 near Olancha, California, has been the subject of intrigue and speculation for decades. The artifact, which was initially considered potential evidence of advanced technology, appeared to be a spark plug or a similar device enclosed in a geode. This discovery gave rise to wild theories about its origin, including claims of prehistoric civilizations or even extraterrestrial visitors. However, subsequent scientific analysis has revealed a more mundane explanation. It is indeed a spark plug, but not of ancient origin. It is most likely a champion spark plug from the 1920s or 1930s, in which minerals were embedded with the passage of time. The process of mineral accumulation can occur relatively under the right conditions, creating the illusion of great antiquity. The misidentification of the Coso artifact highlights the importance of rigorous scientific investigation when examining unusual objects. It serves as a reminder that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that natural processes can often create seemingly inexplicable phenomena. The true nature of the artifact underscores the need for skepticism and careful analysis in archaeology and related fields. Although the Coso artifact may not be proof of the existence of advanced ancient technology, it remains an interesting case study of how ordinary objects can be transformed by geological processes and how misinterpretations can lead to sensational claims. It remains a valuable lesson on the methods and principles of scientific research. The Coso artifact, despite claims about its ancient origin, is not as old as some have suggested. This object, found in California in 1961, has been the subject of much speculation and pseudoscientific theories. However, careful scientific analysis reveals a much more recent origin. Experts who have closely examined the artifact have determined that it is probably a 20th century spark plug, possibly from a 1920s Ford Model T or similar vehicle. The supposed ancient geological materials surrounding it are in actually deposits of hardened clay and accumulations of iron oxide that can form relatively quickly under certain conditions. This case highlights the importance of rigorous scientific investigation when it comes to unusual finds. Although it is tempting to imagine an ancient technologically advanced civilization, the evidence points to a much more mundane explanation. The Coso artifact serves as a reminder that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and critical thinking is crucial when evaluating archaeological discoveries. The Coso artifact has been the subject of fascination and speculation for decades. Discovered in 1961 near Olancha, California, this object embedded in a piece of rock initially sparked theories about ancient advanced technology. However, scientific analysis has provided a more mundane explanation. Detailed examination of the artifact revealed that it was a 1920 spark plug. The supposed ancient geode was actually a geode, a natural process in which mineral matter hardens around an object over time. In this case, the spark plug probably fell into a damp, mineral-rich deposit, which formed a hard crust around it. This case illustrates the importance of rigorous scientific investigation when it comes to unusual finds. Although the idea of advanced ancient technology is intriguing, the evidence often points to more ordinary explanations. The Coso artifact reminds us that natural processes can create seemingly mysterious objects, and that careful analysis is crucial to separating fact from speculation. The history of the Koso artifact also highlights how objects from our recent past can be misinterpreted when found out of context. As our own technology advances, it is increasingly important to document and understand our current technological artifacts to avoid similar misunderstandings in the future. The Koso artifact has been the subject of intrigue and speculation since its discovery in 1961. Found in the Koso Mountains of California, this peculiar object embedded in a geode has sparked numerous theories about its origin and purpose. Some have suggested that it could be evidence of ancient advanced technology, possibly serving as a spark plug or some type of electrical device. However, scientific analysis has revealed a more mundane explanation. Experts who have closely examined the artifact believe it is the remains of a 20th century spark plug that became encased in a naturally formed geode. The process of mineral deposits accumulating around the object over time created what appeared to be a geode. It is likely that this formation occurred in a relatively short period of time, geologically speaking, and not over millions of years, as some enthusiasts initially proposed. However, the true function of the original object was that of a common spark plug in an internal combustion engine. Its transformation into the Koso artifact serves as a fascinating example of how natural processes can alter man-made objects. It also demonstrates how easily misinterpretations can arise when examining unusual finds without thorough scientific investigation. Ultimately, the Koso artifact reminds us of the importance of critical thinking and rigorous analysis when confronted with the unknown. With seemingly extraordinary discoveries, it underscores the need to be cautious when drawing hasty conclusions about ancient technologies or extraterrestrial influences without substantial evidence. The Koso artifact has been a source of fascination and debate since its discovery in 1961. Found in the Koso Mountains of California, this object appeared to be a modern spark plug encased in rock that was believed to be hundreds of thousands of years old. This seemingly impossible combination gave rise to speculation about ancient advanced civilizations or time travel. However, the reality is much less extraordinary. Geologists and researchers have determined that the Koso artifact is not embedded in ancient rock. The material covering it is a concretion, a mass of mineral matter that can form around an object relatively quickly under the right conditions. In this case, it is likely that the spark plug became encrusted with mineral deposits in a few decades. The spark plug itself has been identified as a 1920s champion spark plug commonly used in Ford Model A and Model T engines. It probably arrived in the area when miners or gold prospectors were working in the region in the early 20th century. Over time, mineral-rich groundwater deposited layers of sediment around the spark plug, creating the illusion of an ancient artifact. This case serves as a reminder of the importance of thorough scientific investigation before drawing extraordinary conclusions. What initially appeared to be an archaeological anomaly turned out to be a fascinating example of how geological processes can sometimes create deceptive appearances in a relatively short period of time. The Koso artifact has been the subject of much speculation and debate, but has undergone relatively few rigorous scientific tests. One of the most important examinations was conducted in 1999 by geologist Pierre Stromberg and microbiologist Paul Heinrich, conducted an X-ray analysis. X-rays on the object, which revealed that it was not a mechanical device, as some had claimed, but a natural geological formation. The X-ray images showed that the artifact was composed of a clay matrix containing metallic inclusions, mainly hematite and pyrite. These minerals are commonly found in geodes and other natural rock formations. A more detailed analysis of the object's surface revealed no signs of machining or artificial manipulation. In addition to the radiographic examination, the researchers conducted a thorough visual inspection of the artifact and confirmed that its appearance corresponded to that of a natural concretion, a type of geological formation that occurs when minerals precipitate around a central core. This observation corroborated the conclusion that the Koso artifact is not an ancient technological artifact, but a product of natural geological processes. Although these tests have provided significant evidence about the true nature of the Kos artifact, some proponents of alternative theories continue to question the findings. However, the scientific consensus based on the available evidence strongly supports the conclusion that the object is a natural formation and not a misplaced artifact or ancient technology. The Kos artifact, discovered in California in 1961, has been the subject of much speculation about its origin and nature, although some have suggested that it could be evidence of extraterrestrial technology. The scientific consensus strongly disagrees with this interpretation. Detailed analysis of the artifact reveals that it is a spark plug, probably from a vehicle from the 1920s. The seemingly mysterious nature of the object is due to the fact that it was found enclosed in a geode, a rounded rock formation with a hollow interior often lined with crystals. This unusual combination caused initial confusion about its age and origin. The formation of the geode around the spark plug is explained by natural geological processes. When the spark plug was discarded, it was buried in mineral-rich sediment. Over time, water seeping through this sediment deposited minerals around the spark plug, gradually forming the structure of the geode. Although the idea of an extraterrestrial origin may seem exciting, the Koso artifact serves as a reminder of the importance of thorough scientific investigation. It demonstrates how ordinary objects can sometimes appear extraordinary when found in unexpected contexts, and it underscores the need for careful analysis before drawing conclusions about unusual discoveries. Throughout history, archaeologists and researchers have found several intriguing out-of-place artifacts that challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations and technological development. One such example is the Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece. This complex mechanical device, dating from between 100 and 200 BC, is often considered the world's first analog computer due to its sophisticated gears and ability to predict astronomical positions and eclipses. Another puzzling artifact is the Baghdad battery, unearthed in Iraq and believed to be around 2,000 years old. This clay pot, containing an iron rod surrounded by a copper cylinder, closely resembles a modern electric battery. This has led some to speculate about the ancient knowledge of electricity. Similarly, the Kimbaya artifact from Colombia, dating back around 1,000 years, includes small golden figurines that resemble modern airplanes. Of electricity, similarly, the Kimbaya artifacts from Colombia, dating back around 1,000 years, include small golden figurines that resemble modern airplanes, sparking debate about their true nature and purpose. The Pier and Rees map, created in 1513, has also raised questions among researchers. This Ottoman map appears to show the coastline of Antarctica with remarkable accuracy, even though the continent was not officially discovered until much later. Some argue that this suggests that ancient navigators knew about the Antarctic landmass long before modern explorers. These out-of-place artifacts continue to fascinate scientists and historians alike, challenging our assumptions about the capabilities and knowledge of ancient civilizations. Although many of these objects have possible explanations in the context of their time, they serve as a reminder that there is still much to learn about our past and the ingenuity of our ancestors. The Casio artifact, discovered in California in 1954, poses an intriguing challenge to our conventional understanding of human technological progress. This peculiar object found inside a geode resembles a spark plug. The Casio artifact, discovered in California in 1954, poses an intriguing challenge to our conventional understanding of human technological progress. This peculiar object found inside a geode resembles a modern spark plug with what appears to be ceramic insulation and metal components. What makes the Koso artifact particularly puzzling is its estimated age. Some researchers suggest that the geode, in which could be up to 500,000 years old. If true, this chronology would predate not only modern human civilization, but even the emergence of Homo sapiens as a species. The implications of this discovery are profound. If the artifact is as ancient as some claim and is indeed real, it could have been created by an advanced civilization that existed long before the dawn of human history. Chronology would predate not only modern human civilization, but even the emergence of Homo sapiens as a species. The implications of this finding are profound. If the artifact is as old as some claim and is indeed a manufactured object, it would completely overturn our current understanding of human technological capabilities in prehistory. It would suggest that humans or other intelligent beings possessed advanced knowledge of electricity and manufacturing techniques long earlier. What our current historical records indicate. However, it is essential to approach these claims with scientific skepticism. Many experts argue that the Koso artifact is probably a more recent object, possibly a spark plug from the 1920s that became encased in a concretion rather than a true geode. This explanation would be more consistent with our chronology of technological development. The debate surrounding the Koso artifact underscores the importance of rigorous scientific analysis. Rigorous scientific analysis when evaluating discoveries that could change paradigms. The Koso artifact has sparked numerous theories and debates since its discovery in 1961. This mysterious object found inside a geode in California has been the subject of intense speculation among researchers and enthusiasts alike. A widely held theory suggests that the Koso artifact is evidence of advanced technology possibly created by an extraterrestrial civilization. Proponents of this idea point to the object's apparent mechanical nature, which seems to contain a metal shaft and a ceramic casing. They argue that such sophisticated components could not have been manufactured by primitive humans and must therefore have an extraterrestrial origin. Another theory proposes that the artifact is actually a fossilized mechanical device from a long-lost human civilization. This perspective coincides with ideas about advanced ancient societies that possess technology superior to accepted by conventional archaeology. Supporters of this theory often cite other controversial artifacts to corroborate their claims. However, skeptics and many scientists maintain that the Koso artifact is probably a more mundane object. Some suggest that it could be a spark plug or other automotive component that became encased in a naturally formed geode over time. This explanation would account for the mechanical appearance of the artifact and place its origin in the 20th century rather than in the distant past. The Saqqara bird, discovered in Egypt in 1898, has been the subject of much debate and speculation. This small wooden object, about 20 centimeters long, closely resembles a modern airplane, leading some to suggest that it could be evidence of advanced ancient technology. However, leading archaeologists and historians largely reject this interpretation. Most experts believe that the Saqqara bird is simply a ceremonial object that probably represents a ship or falcon of great symbolic importance in ancient Egyptian culture. The shape of the object, with its wings and tail, matches stylized representations of birds found on other Egyptian artifacts. Its discovery in a tomb in Saqqara, an ancient cemetery, confirms its religious or ceremonial purpose. Although the idea of ancient flying machines is captivating, there is no concrete evidence to support the claim that the Saqqara bird was a model of an aircraft. Tests carried out with replicas have shown that it lacks the aerodynamic properties necessary for flight. The object's characteristics, such as the lack of stabilizing feathers on the tail and the impractical shape of its wings, make it unsuitable as a model for a functional aircraft. It is important to approach these claims with scientific skepticism. Although ancient civilizations were often more advanced than we currently believe, there is no archaeological or historical evidence to suggest that they possessed aeronautical technology. The Saqqara bird remains an intriguing artifact, but its true purpose most likely originated in the rich symbolism and religious practices of ancient Egypt. The Saqqara bird, an ancient Egyptian artifact discovered in 1898, has sparked considerable debate about its aerodynamic properties. This small wooden object, measuring about 20 centimeters in length, resembles a modern airplane or glider. Its elegant shape, similar to that of a bird with outstretched wings and a vertical tail fin, has led some researchers to speculate about its possible aerodynamic capabilities. Studies conducted with a bird with outstretched wings and a vertical tail fin has led some researchers to speculate about its possible aerodynamic capabilities. Studies conducted with replicas of the cicada bird have yielded intriguing results. When placed in wind tunnels, these models demonstrated a certain degree of lift and stability, suggesting that the original artifact may have had some aerodynamic qualities. The tips of slightly curved wing tips and tail fin seem to contribute to its ability to glide in a manner very similar to modern aircraft. However, it is important to note that the aerodynamic properties of the cicada bird remain a subject of scientific debate. While some researchers argue that it could have been a primitive model of a glider or even a toy capable of short flights, others maintain that its shape is purely coincidental or symbolic. The lack of other similar artifact from the same period adds to the mystery surrounding regarding its true purpose and capabilities. Regardless of its function, the cicada bird continues to fascinate scientists and historians. Its seemingly advanced design, created thousands of years before the first flight of the Wright brothers, raises intriguing questions about the ancient Egyptians' knowledge of aerodynamics and the earliest experiments with flight. The cicada bird, a small wooden artifact discovered in Egypt, has sparked a great debate among archaeologists and historians. This enigmatic object, which dates back to around 300 BC, resembles a bird with outstretched wings. Some researchers have suggested that it could have been a ceremonial object used in religious rituals, possibly representing the soul of the deceased in funeral practices. Others suggest that the cicada bird could have been a children's toy or a talisman. However, one of the most intriguing and controversial theories is that it could have been a model of some form of ancient flying machine. This idea, although captivating, does not enjoy widespread acceptance in the scientific community due to the lack of evidence to support it. The exact purpose of the cicada bird remains a mystery, but its unique design continues to fascinate scholars. Its aerodynamic shape has led some to speculate about the level of scientific knowledge possessed by the ancient Egyptians. However, in the absence of more contextual evidence, it is difficult to draw definitive conclusions about its intended use. Regardless of its original purpose, the cicada bird serves as a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of ancient Egyptian artisans. It reminds us that there is still much to learn about the technological capabilities and cultural practices of past civilizations. Although the ancient Egyptians were famous for their remarkable achievements in architecture, mathematics, and astronomy, there is no credible evidence to suggest that they possessed knowledge of flight or flying machines. The idea that the ancient Egyptians flew has been popularized by some fringe theories and speculative interpretations of artwork. However, these claims are not supported by conventional archaeological or historical research. Ancient Egyptian culture left behind numerous records and artifacts, such as detailed hieroglyphics and well-preserved tombs. If they had developed flight technology, it would likely be documented in these sources. However, there are no such records. The methods of transportation were known to them were mainly boats on the Nile, wheeled vehicles, and animal-drawn carts for land travel. Some advocates of flight in ancient Egypt point to certain hieroglyphs or artifacts as evidence, claiming that they depict flying machines. However, Egyptologists interpret these images differently, often as religious symbols or representations of boats. The famous bird of Saqqara, sometimes cited as a model of an aircraft, is more plausibly interpreted as a ceremonial object or a ballet. It is important to distinguish between the real and impressive achievements of ancient Egyptian civilization and unfounded speculation. Although the Egyptians were certainly innovative, the concept of powered flight remained beyond human capacity until the early 20th century, thousands of years after the heyday of ancient Egyptian civilization. Ancient artifacts suggesting advanced aeronautical knowledge have fascinated researchers and enthusiasts alike. The cicada bird, discovered in Egypt and dated to around 300 BC, is one such intriguing object. This small wooden carving closely resembles a modern airplane, with what appear to be wings and a vertical stabilizer. Some experts argue that its design indicates an understanding of aerodynamics far superior to what was believed possible at the time. In South America, the gold statuettes of the Quimbaya civilization, created around the turn of the millennium, have attracted attention for their airplane-like appearance. These small gold objects feature delta-shaped wings and tail fins reminiscent of modern jet engines. Although conventional archaeologists tend to interpret them as stylized representations of birds or insects, others speculate that they may represent flying machines known to the ancient culture. The bimas mentioned in ancient Indian texts are another compelling case. These mythical flying vehicles are described in detail in Sanskrit epics were capable of incredible feats of aerial maneuverability. The technical descriptions in these texts have led some researchers to suggest that they may be based on real flying ships and not mere imaginings. In addition, rock art found in various parts of the world, such as Australia and the Sahara Desert, shows figures that some interpret as humanoids wearing spacesuits or helmets. Although these interpretations remain controversial, they continue to fuel the debate about the possibility that ancient civilizations had advanced aeronautical knowledge. The Saqqara bird, an ancient Egyptian artifact discovered in 1898, has sparked interesting debates about its potential as a primitive airplane model. This small wooden object, dating from around 300 BC, closely resembles modern airplanes in several respects. Its aerodynamic shape with extended wings and vertical tail reflects the basic design principles used in modern aviation. Modern aircraft incorporate wings for lift, an aerodynamic fuselage to reduce drag, and vertical stabilizers for directional stability. Surprisingly, the Saqqara bird exhibits these same characteristics. Although rudimentary, the artifact's wings are fixed in a position that suggests an understanding of lift generation, while its streamlined body could minimize air resistance. However, it is crucial to note that despite these similarities, there is no concrete evidence that the Saqqara bird was a flying device. Many experts argue that it is more likely to be a religious or ceremonial object, possibly a bird, or even a stylized representation of a deity. The absence of written records or additional artifacts to support the flight theory further complicates its interpretation. Regardless of its original purpose, the Saqqara bird continues to fascinate researchers and aviation enthusiasts alike. Its striking resemblance to modern aircraft reminds us of the ingenuity of ancient civilizations and encourages us to question our assumptions about the development of scientific knowledge throughout history. The Saqqara bird, discovered in Egypt in 1898, is an extraordinary artifact that continues to intrigue archaeologists and historians. This small wooden object, measuring about 20 centimeters in length, was crafted with meticulous attention to detail by ancient Egyptian artisans. The main material used in the creation of the Saqqara bird was sycamore wood, a common choice in Egyptian carpentry due to its availability and ease of working. The ancient craftsmen carefully carved and shaped the wood to give it the characteristic shape of a bird with wings and a tail. To improve the appearance and durability of the object, the craftsmen applied a thin layer of gypsum, a mixture of plaster and glue, to the surface of the wood. This layer provided a smooth base for decoration and helped protect the wood from environmental factors. The final touch in the creation of the Saqqara bird was the application of paint. Although much of the original color has faded over time, the remains of pigments suggest that the object was once adorned with vibrant hues that possibly included golden tones to represent the sacred nature of birds in ancient Egyptian culture. The Saqqara bird, a small wooden artifact discovered in Egypt, has sparked interesting debates about its true nature and purpose. Although some enthusiasts have proposed that it could represent an extraterrestrial spacecraft witnessed by the ancient Egyptians, the scientific consensus strongly supports a more terrestrial explanation. Archaeologists and historians agree that the Saqqara bird is probably a ceremonial object representing a bird, possibly a falcon or another avian species important in Egyptian mythology. The shape and features of the artifact conform to known Egyptian artistic conventions for representing birds, especially those associated with deities such as Horus. Furthermore, there is no credible evidence in ancient Egyptian texts or artifacts to suggest contact with extraterrestrial beings or advanced flying technology. The idea of the Saqqara bird as an extraterrestrial spacecraft is considered pseudo-archaeology, not supported by rigorous scientific analysis or historical context. Although the imagination of extraterrestrial contact is captivating, the reality of the craftsmanship and religious symbolism of ancient Egypt offers a fascinating insight into a sophisticated civilization that flourished thousands of years ago. The Saqqara bird remains an important artifact for understanding Egyptian culture and artistic practices rather than evidence of the presence of visitors from another world. The Saqqara bird, an ancient Egyptian artifact resembling a bird's ring or airplane, has intrigued researchers and aviation enthusiasts for decades. Several experiments have been conducted to test whether replicas of this mysterious object could actually fly. A notable experiment was conducted by aeronautical engineer Kil Messiah in the 1970s. Messiah created a scale model of the Saqqara bird and tested it in a wind tunnel. His results suggested that the replica exhibited certain characteristics of lift and stability, sparking greater interest in the possible aerodynamic properties of the artifact. More recently, in 2006, a team of researchers led by Simon Sanderson built a replica of the Saqqara bird for a documentary. They tested the model in a wind tunnel and discovered that it could produce lift but was unstable in flight without a tail. The team then added a vertical stabilizer to improve its flight characteristics. These experiments, although intriguing, have not conclusively proven that the original Saqqara bird was designed to fly. Many archaeologists, however, these tests have provided valuable information about the aerodynamic properties of bird-shaped objects and continue to fuel debates about the knowledge of ancient, a ceremonial object or a toy. Nevertheless, these tests have provided valuable information about the aerodynamic properties of bird-shaped objects and continue to fuel debates about the ancient Egyptians' knowledge of the principles of aviation. The Saqqara bird, a small wooden artifact discovered in Egypt, has sparked intriguing debates about the technological capabilities of ancient civilizations. This enigmatic object, dating back some 3000 BC, resembles a bird or an airplane with outstretched wings. Its aerodynamic shape has led some researchers to speculate that it may represent an early understanding of the principles of flight. Although conventional archaeologists tend to consider the Saqqara bird a ceremonial object or a toy, other theories suggest that it could be a model glider or even proof of the existence of ancient flying machines. These claims call into question our conventional understanding of technological development in ancient societies. If the Saqqara bird really represents aeronautical knowledge, it would imply that the ancient Egyptians possessed a level of scientific knowledge far superior to that usually attributed to that period. However, it is essential to approach these claims with scientific skepticism. Wind tunnel tests carried out with replicas of the Saqqara bird have shown that with slight modifications, the design could lift. This has fueled speculation about its purpose and the knowledge behind its creation. However, the lack of evidence proving the existence of widespread aeronautical technology in ancient Egypt makes it difficult to draw definitive conclusions. The Saqqara bird reminds us that our understanding of the technological capabilities of antiquity is constantly evolving. It encourages us to question our assumptions about the past and to remain open to new interpretations of archaeological finds. Whether it is a sophisticated aeronautical model or an artistic representation, the bird of Saqqara continues to challenge our perception of the technological achievements of ancient Egypt.